All right, what is going on for this Friday night? Boy, we had a fucking dig, but we got some stuff for you. We've got NXT, we've got SmackDown, TLC predictions. EC3 says he's got COVID. Triple H is looking to start a NXT for NXT. Anyway, Ric Flair may have spilled the beans on a physical WWE Hall of Fame and lots more. I am Boxman. He's the smarkiest of all the smarks. And we are your Dirt Sheet Dudes.
After it's all said and done, you're going to be taking freedom out of your bad asses all night long because you got bad asses. The only chance you have no chance. If you had a chance, is you can run lickety split. But you can't run because you're bad asses. Well, Ric Flair, you know what? I'm not a normal looking athlete myself. You know what I'm talking about? I've been in the gyms a lot. It's a privilege and an honor to walk out with Ole Anderson, Lex Luger, and the Army tomorrow night.
I am not a happy camper. What is Bully Ray's motivation? You know I love you. I know he loves sugar. But I check my pocket. I don't have no donuts. I don't have no cheeseburger. I know you love sugar, but I ain't got none.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, pal. I'm the man.
Look at a match for the total package like Luger and Super Brawl. Super Saturday? What is it? I don't know what it's called. What is it called?
Super Bowl Saturday.
Super Brawl Saturday?
You don't lose faith in winners. And Ric Flair, day in and day out, every day of his life, just keeps winning and winning and winning.
Ric Flair! New York City, Ric Flair! You're gonna find out what hard is all about! I do exactly what I want to do. You say I'm insane. I say thank you very much.
Make a good lucha.
I hate that! Hit the deck! Yes! We love you, Scott Steiner!
Today, woo, I've got the style and profile like never before.
You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the game, JR.
So you say you like candy canes. All the ladies do. Candy canes were meant for sucking. So don't you think about trying to chew. How about a little eggnog? I got a homemade recipe. You're gonna get long drunk on my eggnog, even though it's alcohol free. Yeah, I'm gonna stuff your stocking this year. Gonna fill it up nice and tight. Gonna feel so good when I slide my guess into it tonight. Gonna stuff your stocking this year. Gonna fill it up with all I got. Knickknacks and candies. Gonna hit your stocking G-spot.
Gonna hit my stocking G-spot. Is that what I just fucking heard?
That's right.
I don't have a stocking G-spot. If I do, I don't know about it, and I'm not sure I want to. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. That was Steel Panther, everybody. Basically who Chris Jericho is trying to be every week. But that was Steel Panther. The stocking song, if you'd like to hear the rest of that, you know where to go look for it. The old YouTube. What is going on, everybody? Friday night, Dirt Sheet Dudes, Boxman, Smark, how you doing, sir?
I am well. How are you?
Doing good, man. Actually in a good mood tonight. My kids were in a good mood after school today. It's their last day for a couple of weeks, so you know,
Nice.
when your kids are in a good mood, it puts you in a good mood. So,
They do anything special? A little Christmas party or anything?
actually, my older son, had fucking exams all week.
Ooh, tough.
Today, he had to do a mock job interview.
Interesting.
Getting him ready for the real world, man. I like it. Yeah. He said he got really nervous and his throat kind of closed up. But
That's the experience.
I said that's your first job interview. That's what happens. I mean, I'm like, don't worry about it, kid. I said they're trying to get you ready for the real thing one day, and he's like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to work one day. Counting down the days till he's 15, man. 3 more years. 3 more years, that little fucker will be paying rent. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Teach you how to make shoes.
He's might do something. I got a feeling he's going to be working with computers no matter what. Maybe even like an engineer or something. Designer possibly, because he likes to do the building games. So he's got a lot of things that he can go for. But let's go ahead and knock these plugs out, Smark. Then we got a few things to get into. Obviously, we're going to get into NXT first, and then we'll kind of go from there. Let's go ahead and get these plugs out of the way. Hi, Marks. I want you guys to go check those guys out. It's Cheeseman. It is Mojo. It is G-Wiz. And it is G-Wizzin' fun. I'll tell you that right now. They're on Sundays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Mixler.com/Metal Mitt Network. That's right. Double up those T's in Metal Mitt Network and listen to those guys right there. And, of course, Bobby Anthem and Bobby Blades. I want you listening to The Inhuman Experience because of the experience you will have if you listen to it. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. You will not be dissatisfied. You will not unsubscribe. Trust me, find them on all the usual podcast platforms. And, of course, Unscripted Wrestling, Eric, Doug, and Daniel, that cast of characters over there. I can't talk tonight. This is going to be fun. They can be found on all the usual podcast platforms, but also on Blog Talk Radio. Go check them out, Unscripted Wrestling Podcast. And, of course, Stephen Milan, appreciate you sharing the show everywhere you do. Find him on Letterboxd, boxt.com/Stephen Milan, 2 L's in Milan. He's over there reviewing films. Check him out. And you can get us on Spreaker. You can get us on YouTube, Stitcher, iHeart, Spotify, Google, TuneIn, Player FM. Anywhere you can find good podcasts. Smart, go.
That's right. Do you hear what I hear? Because what I hear is Cheese on Sports, Mondays, 8:30 on the Metal Mitt Podcast Network, right here on Mixer. And also, what I recommend that you do this holiday season is join our friends at the Rack on Tour podcast. It's a Planet Rack on Tour podcast with the 3 wise men podcasting. You got Bobby Anthony, Papa Davidson. 16 episodes are available wherever you get your gosh darn podcast.
There you go. 16 episodes. Now, nice little round number there. Definitely want to go check those out right there. And there you go. Those are the plugs. And I am turning the music down tonight. There it goes. It's down, and I'm even going to pause it. There you go, everybody. I did my job tonight. I know. I've got one fucking job to do. But it's not really. So, there you go. Man, I got to tell you, Smark, I'm glad we're starting with NXT because I really did not enjoy SmackDown tonight. It was a chore to get through it. When it's a chore to get through a 2-hour show, that's not a good sign. Not at all. But before we get into those, before we get into NXT, 2 quick birthdays for today. We're going to mention, don't really need to get into him too much, obviously. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Today is his birthday. He's an old man today. And RVD out there living his best life with his girl, Katie Forbes, 50 years old today. So there we go. I didn't even know they shared a birthday, actually. Stone Cold and RVD. Didn't even know that. Did you know that, Smart? Did you? It seems Mark is on mute. I think he may be doing something. So, nope, maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, I did not know that. But really quick, happy birthday to Stone Cold Steve Austin and to RVD. I'm sure RVD is getting a good present because it's RVD. I mean, how could he not be? The guy's an amazing guy, and he has not only one but two girlfriends, I think. I'm not sure if he still does, but last I saw, he had two. What's that other girl's name? Jennifer something. I don't know. They're both pretty hot. But there we go. I don't. Let's see. Okay, Smart's connection is a little wonky, as he's saying right now in the chat room here in Skype. We're on. You know what? I'm gonna talk to Smart about using Discord. I think we're gonna go ahead and switch that over. I think we're going to. I think we might have to try switching over to Discord. Maybe that'll help out your connection. I don't know. We'll see, Smart. But anyway,
well, the connection, oddly enough, was fine. I just, for whatever reason, could not hear you. I could see you on the video, but I couldn't hear you at all.
Oh, all right. I thought I had turned the video off. Huh. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe it'll help your connection a little bit. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Probably not. But let's. All right. Well, I mentioned the two birthdays, Smart. Like I said, RVD and Stone Cold.
See, I did know about the RVD one. I did not know about the Stone Cold one.
I did not know they shared a birthday either. I was just saying that to the chat room here. But I do now. And that's good for them. Oh, Trish has a birthday today, too.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Trish, another birthday. Three wrestling birthdays. Wow. That's pretty fucking good right there. All right. Let's go ahead and knock this NXT out, Smart. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I enjoyed NXT. Thought it was a pretty good show. Much easier to get through than SmackDown, I'll tell you that. They did Go ahead.
And SmackDown was hard.
Yeah, SmackDown was tough to get through. Some definite. We'll get into that. Keith Richards had a birthday today. My God, how old is that guy? What age is death? I'm sorry, what age defies death? That's Keith Richards. I mean,
I'm pretty sure. It's definitely being counted on an abacus somewhere.
I mean, those guys did. I mean, Keith Richards talks about the drugs and shit. And it's like, I mean, how is this guy still alive? Unless the drugs are preserving him. I'm hoping, the vodka and the weed preserve me for late in life. And I don't know. I'm hoping. We'll see. Maybe I'll be Keith Richards. Listen, if I can get 30 more years, I'll be happy. 75 is pretty three quarters, to 100, and I'm good.
I think I'm okay with 60.
See, I'd like to go to 75 plus. Again, after 75, I'm just going to become a complete prick old man. I'm hoping we're just, I can be the biggest asshole, and someone will just look at me and be like, it's old Dave.
It's old Dave. You know how he is. He shows up with his can of soup.
Can of
soup.
soup.
I've been an asshole my whole life, so I think I'm gonna make the face turn in my later years.
Got a can of soup filled with vodka.
Drinking vodka out of a fucking Campbell soup can.
It's Tito's, goddammit. It's Tito's vodka. It's made in Texas. Oh, God.
There you go.
Oh, if I'm in Texas in my golden years, someone fucking just, you know what? I don't want to get to 75 in that case. Take me at 60. You're right. Okay. So I don't want to get back to Florida, man. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to this NXT. NXT, like I said, did a very smart thing. Kicked off with just a match this week. Right away, we get Kushida in the ring. Right after the entrance, Kushida in the ring with Leon Ruff. They are going up against Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory in a group now called The Way, Smart.
Shout out to Brian Zane, who has already exhausted all of the fastball jokes. Could go with some Bob Seger jokes if you have any.
Bob Seger?
Is he not the one that comes up that has the Rocky Mountain Way song?
Rocky Mountain Way is Eagles. Isn't it?
Is it? All right. Well, fair enough.
I think so.
I want to say Seeger. I could be wrong. Hold on. Well, we got to go to the Google machine.
Oh, you might have to go to the Google. I believe Rocky Mountain Ways is the Eagles, sir. I believe that is the old.
You're right. Fucking Joe Walsh. Okay,
yeah, that is Joe Walsh singing that one. That is Joe Walsh. I'm sorry, man. I know my Eagles music. I'm a big Eagles fan. I like the Eagles. Really like the Eagles. Great group.
There you go.
But
there you go.
There we go. The Way, the Milky Way, it's just not a good name. But whatever. Maybe it'll grow on me. We'll see. I'm not going to really. I mean, it's not going to be like, fucking name takes me out of the whole thing. No, I'm not going to say that. Still a good little group right there. Won't want to see what they do.
I mean, the company that's producing fucking Slapjack and T-Bar, at least some.
Yeah. You know, yeah. I mean, you go there, then you know, I get it. But again, it's not going to take me out of the group or out of the match. A stupid name is a stupid name. There's nothing you can do about it. They probably didn't pick it. So, really good tag match though between these four guys. Fast-paced action. Kushida and Ruff really work good together. I'd like to see them tag a lot more together, honestly.
Yeah, it was a good pairing, I thought. You know, for two, it was interesting because it was two teams that had never teamed together prior, but for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, it's because they're established stable, but they were giving Gargano and his boy, like they were supposed to be the established tag team. They were working as though they were, you know, using the chemistry and cohesion and whatnot, but in all reality, they had both been newly formed tag teams to this point.
Yeah, it definitely was. But I mean, Kushida and Ruff worked together like they had been together for years already. Excuse me. Oh man, I took a sip of seltzer and I must have swallowed wrong.
There's a nickname for Leon Ruff, and I'm going to give credit to Dirk for this one, who we were talking about it, and I said that he looked smaller than like Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor, so he just started calling him Hamburger on his show. He was like, just no cheese, just the patty.
No cheese. No, yeah, you don't need cheese, I guess. So, whoa. All right. Anyway, yeah, you don't need cheese. I mean, you need cheese man. I mean, you need cheese man, but you don't need actual cheese. I get it. But I'm going to tell you, man, watching Kushida in this match, and I've said this before, they really need to either put him in a tag team and get him on TV more, or push him to the moon. Because that guy is one talented motherfucker. He speaks good enough English to get past. You know, you don't even I don't even care to hear him do promos. Just let him go out there and wrestle like he fucking does, man. The guy's a talented motherfucker.
I mean, they seem like they're on their way with him. Like, they've given him a lot of... for how he submitted Timothy Thatcher. So, I mean, that's kind of a big feather in his cap. So, I mean, they definitely have plans for them.
Yeah, and I hope they do, because I really think the guy is talented, and I really like him in the ring. His gimmick is good. I mean, a little bit of, you know, let's keep the cheese going. A little bit of cheese in his gimmick, but it's still a good gimmick. It's not something we've seen a million times. So, hey, you know, guy's talented in the ring. Let him do what he's got to do. Theory did pick up the win for the team, which I figured Gargano would pick up the win. I kind of thought they were going to win, but I thought Gargano would pick it up. But Theory ends up picking up the win for that. But I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Like you said, it was a good way to start off the show. And that was kind of, it kept the pace. I would say that was one thing that was good about NXT as a whole, was just it started off at a good pace, and it kind of, there wasn't a really big significant drop where seemingly most weeks it feels like there is. Like last week, it definitely felt like there was a big drop, like right show. Right.
Yeah, definitely kept the pace going. And again, I mean, you know, AEW is going to kick right off with a match. You better do the same. So sure. I think they kicked off with a good match here to go up against the AEW match. Now, instead of us sitting there saying, you know, Loomis is sitting there, this segment, and this segment, Loomis was sitting there for a few segments as they came back and forth from commercial, doing a little drawing on a tablet, Smark.
Yeah, I don't think laughter was the intent of those segments that they were doing, but especially towards the end, like the last one they did, it just made me laugh. So, because I was just imagining, like, if this were 10, 20 years ago, him just sitting there in front of a live crowd, and just all of a sudden you just see like a beer can hit him in the back of the head while he's just like, trying to be ominous and just glaring at the camera and not saying anything or moving. It kind of looked ridiculous, but go ahead.
I'm just saying, at that point, I mean, instead of just saying he was there for a bunch of segments, we'll just go ahead and get to it. He was there, a bunch of segments, and we find out in the last segment, the drawing is him announcing that he is the host of New Year's Evil. And the first thing that I believe it was, Wade Barrett says, but he doesn't talk. And I'm like, that was my thoughts exactly, Wade. So I don't know how this is going to go. I think it's going to end up being good. Dexter Lumis can pull off a character, and maybe he will talk a little bit. We might get him talking.
I mean, if they have him if he actually does have artistic talent, or you could find somebody that does, like he could hand draw like the match graphics if you want to do something like that. Where it's like instead of just announcing a match, you just see him draw the people, and then you write their names at the bottom so there's no confusion.
Which is a talent I have zero, absolutely zero at. I can't draw shit. I can't even draw a good stick person, Smart.
I am not good at like arts in any form, like drawing. Well, I can do like performance art and shit, like plays and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
I can't draw. I can't make crafts.
Nope.
Like, I just have no aptitude for that, like you were saying.
No, I can make boxes.
There you go. Well, you have to. That's the name.
I mean, I can literally cut a sample by hand with an X-Acto knife and a tape measure. I can do that. Took me a long time to do it, but I can make you a box out of a sheet of cardboard. I can make you an actual box out of it. But otherwise, you ask me to draw a picture. My kids will be like, "Can you help me draw?" I'm like, "Go get your mom." No way. No way.
Help you trace.
I could trace.
Exactly.
But I mean, I learned that from tracing the old parent signatures on other report cards when I was a kid.
Right on.
Oh yeah, I was that. I was that kid. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. But we'll see how the Lumis thing works out at New Year's Evil. That's going to be, I think, any way they work it, it's probably going to be good. Lumis's character is good, and they'll work it out pretty well. We had a little Shotzi promo after that, Smark. Is the howl cringe to you too? A little?
Yeah.
It's
Bended either way.
Yeah, it just breaks it out in weird spots. But
the thing about are other, like, when we start getting crowds back, are people going to howl along with her? I don't see that happening. And like, you can't turn that into a catchphrase. Like, you can't throw that onto a T-shirt. Are you going to put like her like barking at the moon, like Ozzy Osbourne style, on a T-shirt? Like, what are you going to do with that?
No, but you can sure chant TCB, sir.
There you go. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, taking care of business, baby.
I'm kind of genuinely surprised at like copyright issues with that. Well, I guess they haven't tried to use it to make money yet, but I'd imagine somebody owns that shit. The estate.
EP Enterprises, Elvis Presley Enterprises owns the TCB. If you use the letters are a little tougher. If she put the lightning bolt on there with because that's part of the TCB symbol, is the one with the lightning bolt for Elvis.
Right.
That might be a little problem. Matter of fact, I have that earring and a necklace pendant with the TCB with the lightning bolt on it. I don't wear them anymore, but I still have them. I do have cufflinks that say with the TCB logo though, and the lightning bolt. I have cufflinks now.
There you go.
But that's probably why that they're not really going to get any trouble for it. The letters are it's hard to copyright letters, but if you add a symbol behind it, you can copy that motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah, so they did that. But yeah, EP Enterprises is who owns that. Again, big Elvis fan.
Sure.
I don't care what you say about me. But anyway, let's move on from Shotzi. We get to a match with her a little bit later. We get to this Tyler Rust versus Tommaso Ciampa match, Smark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. I don't know about the chat room, but I personally expected this to be almost a squash.
Yeah, kind of.
I expected a squash match. When we went from commercial and almost to another commercial break, I was pretty shocked. I was also very impressed with Tyler Rust.
I will say this, that they are wasting no time on this guy, because like we talked about it 2 weeks ago that they had signed him. and now he's already on TV and he's already wrestling champion, like in a competitive match too. So they definitely have high hopes for him.
Who was he on the Indies?
No, I was like, it was like an inverse. So his name is Tyler Rust on the Indies. So it was like something I don't remember, but I remember it's exactly like that, but just kind of flipped.
Rusty Tyler?
Something like that, yeah. Like I mean, like for real, I'm trying to remember, but fuck, Antox, help me out if he's not even here. I don't think. Shit, I'm gonna have to look it up here. Hold on, give me a second, but we'll come back to that in a moment.
Oh shit, that worries me if an Antox.
But yeah, I was surprised too because I thought it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, our statistician is absent.
Yeah, but I really figured, that's all right. Well, you can look it up real quick while I'm talking here. But yeah, I really expected this match to be a quick squash. But when Ciampa came out, I guess I should have thought about it because Ciampa did come out. He grabbed a chair, set it up, put the Timothy Thatcher shirt, the Thatch Can shirt on there. And Weeb says that Tyler Rust was a TNA gut check winner. Yeah, that's really done nothing for anyone before, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with this guy. But that should let me know.
Rust Taylor.
What was it?
His name was Rust Taylor.
Oh, so yeah, they kept it kind of the same-ish. Mm-hmm. We've said Antox must have been attacked backstage. It was Kenny Omega and Don Callis. Okay.
That is sort of an amazing visual. Like just seeing him just like sprawled out, like unconscious against the keyboard, like mouse already about to click on to like the Mixler link.
I don't know, but if you've ever seen Antox, a good pair of headphones could swallow him.
Oh, yeah. I have seen him, yeah. Okay, I remember. I will say this is going to get a little bit uncomfortable, but like I learned a discovery about him because the picture I had seen of him was when we were talking about, we had a rather heated over the summertime discussion, and he was using some words that were kind of
what? What?
Unsavory.
Unsavory
words that I cannot use. If that helps, kind of a hint.
I get it.
And then I saw his picture, and I was like, "Okay, cool. All right, we're not gonna have trouble here."
Nah. And look, Antox is a great guy. I'm glad he.
Oh yeah, definitely. We appreciate him. Glad that he's here.
I'm sure he'll pop in. If not, we will definitely see him next. Yeah, it was a gut check. He was a gut check winner, and all right, yeah, we got two people. Yeah, saying he was a gut check winner, which is great. But I just said, like I said, that's really hasn't done much. Wasn't Brian Cage a gut check winner?
Well, just to clear it up, he was talking about Sam Shaw.
Sam Shaw TNA. Okay, yes, he was. I remember that. I was watching during that time. I liked the Sam Shaw character. I was hoping Sam Shaw was going to bang Ken Anderson's mom in that segment. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
My God, has he fallen from grace?
Who?
Anderson.
Who?
Like, I don't even know if he's in TNA or not TNA, he's NWA anymore. Ken Anderson.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. There
right.
you
go. That's what I'm. Who? Yeah.
He's taking the Jim Manville role now. He says who?
Yeah, I don't. I liked him. I did. He was really. I thought he was good on the mic, but dogfight.
Of course, he was good on the mic, and then he got in trouble for dog fighting.
He was good on the mic, and then two pit bulls attacked him. Okay. So, all right. He was good on the mic, and I didn't mind him in the ring. I know he kind of was an asshole backstage, but look at the guy. He looks like an asshole. Ken Anderson, to me, was more like a modern-day Luger, because I didn't like Luger. But I actually didn't like Luger, though. But my dad always said Luger looks like an asshole. That's why my dad never liked him, which was probably the reason I never liked him. He always said, that guy just looks like a complete asshole.
Man, that is a good conversation point at some point of just like who in wrestling looks the most like, or like who looks like the biggest asshole. Because there's so many good options to choose from.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, Gargano looks like he'd be a dick to meet in real life, which he's probably not. But he looks like he would be. Fucking Thatcher looks like an asshole.
Yeah, he looks surly. I like it.
Yeah, but he looks like the kind of guy that would, after he beat your ass, he'd buy you a beer. But that's what he looks like. But anyway, I kind of did that to kind of get back to the match a little bit.
There you go.
But yeah, Thatcher did come down eventually. And I mean, Ciampa was playing with Rust throughout much of the match until Thatcher came down, and that's when Rust actually made a little bit of a comeback. There is when Thatcher came down. So I don't know, made a really good match, really good segment, especially when after Thatcher came down, the pull apart between Thatcher and Ciampa was good. I loved when, well, it wasn't a pull apart really, it wasn't really, but I did like Ciampa picking up the shirt and wiping his sweat with the Thatcher shirt. I thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was funny. Yeah, and then Thatcher came out yelling. But there we go. Like I said, I mean, we pretty much put the match over in the beginning. Really impressive, I guess, kind of outing for Tyler Rust, especially against Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, when you're in there with a Tommaso Ciampa and you can pull off that kind of match, you got to get some crowd. I'll give you credit. I don't know who else will, but I sure as hell will.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, from what we saw of him, it was enjoyable. I want to see more of like what it is that they have for him in terms of character, personality, motive, whatever. What his promos are like. Promo yet, so there's a lot more that we need to kind of see and learn from him. But like you said, it was a good outing, kind of a showcase.
Right. Yeah. We right after that match, we get a quick reintroduction video package for the grizzled young veterans. Pretty good video. Well, I mean, I don't need to put this over. WWE always good at their video packages. So, but right after that, we get Malcolm Bivens down there talking to Rust during the commercial. They show that's what it was going. You think that's going to go anywhere, Smark? Or what?
And I forget the exact segment, but apparently this has been happening the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it happened last week. Yeah,
exactly. There you go. Yeah, so apparently there's a bit of a courtship process. I like it. Like, this is kind of a obscure pull a little bit, but like it reminds me a little bit of like when I saw it on YouTube when Macho Man first came in to WWF. I don't know if people remember this, but there was like 3 or 4 people that were trying to be his manager at the time. And there was I think it was like a Saturday night's main event or one of those shows that they do that just has a lot of segments that they had back in the day where they like brought everybody out and there was this like big who is he going to pick kind of style vignette. So I like the idea of just having where it's like he's basically this blue chip guy and there's people that are already trying to bring him. You got, like you said, you got Malcolm coming out there. Maybe you end up having Robert Stone or something make a pass at him, see what happens. That kind of thing. I like it.
Yeah, we have to make a pass at him. Jesus, Smart.
Well, yeah, that came off way worse than I intended. But
yeah,
yeah,
that came out a little wrong there. But anyway, hey, to each their own. I haven't seen Stone in a while.
No, I have not. Me neither.
Been a little while since we've seen him, but we'll see where that goes with the Malcolm Bivens thing. Let's go ahead and get to this Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne match. The winner of this match faces Balor at New Year's Evil.
That's right.
Huge brawl before the match starts between Dunne and his guys and O'Reilly and Undisputed Era. Now, let me just get this out of the way, Smark.
Okay.
I had 0 issues with the match. A good match. Kyle O'Reilly, obviously a hard hitter. Even Dunne was bleeding from the mouth. He might, Kyle O'Reilly hits that line between possibly a dangerous guy and just a stiff hitter.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of sits on that line for me. This was kind of like O'Reilly and Balor 2, which we're obviously getting anyway, because Balor did get the win for this out of this great match.
Balor got the win?
What was that?
You said Balor got the win.
No, I said O'Reilly got the win to face Balor, I think.
No, you said Balor, but I was just trying to make sure. So O'Reilly ended up getting the win, is what we're going with here.
Oh, all right. Well, I screwed up. There's too many names in the goddamn match. Dunn, O'Reilly, Balor, blah, blah, blah.
I just wanted to point out that something was going wrong on somebody else's end for a change.
I appreciate the correction, sir. But yeah, O'Reilly did get the win. Now, zero issues with the match, even though Pete Dunne was in it. And I'm not a Pete Dunne fan. I don't have to be. Listen, I've said before, I got no problem with his in-ring work. I do not like the finger thing, and I mean, he's fucking Bam Bam, in my opinion, from not Bam Bam Bigelow, Bam Bam from the Flintstones. Anyway, they hyped this match the whole time, Smark. You're not going to miss a second from bell to bell. Not a second. Do you consider picture-in-picture not missing a second? When your picture-in-picture is 3/4 of the screen and there's a banner on the top and bottom?
Well, they don't consider that missing anything. But you didn't ask about they, you asked about me, and you, as well as I, we both have the same tendency, because I know you've said it, either fast-forwarding or just not paying attention whenever they go to picture. So essentially, to answer your question, just take a very long way to do so. No, I do not consider that to be the full match if you do multiple picture-in-picture segments.
We got 2 picture-in-picture segments out of this match, I believe. And again, they've got a banner on the top, banner on the bottom, which is already closing in right there. And then they've got a little 1/4-inch screen there with, that part. It just didn't make sense to me. Go ahead, Smart. Give a little more while I take this shot with the wife and my young one.
Yeah, that being said, though, I do agree that the whole multiple picture-in-picture things is kind of disruptive and it takes a bit. But that being said, I think you can make the case. You've mentioned Balor and O'Reilly Part 1 as being a really good match. I think this is one of their best TV matches, if not their best TV match of the year. Like, it was a really, really solid match.
Wow.
And worried how you would receive it because we talked about it and I totally agreed with you on Wednesday, but after watching Raw, where every match felt like it was at least 20 minutes, I could see how fatigue would set in. But I would say at least the fact that there was actual stakes in this match, whereas, the winner gets a title shot and it's not just, hey, let's kill time by having AJ wrestle Sheamus for 25 minutes.
Right.
Like there's actual reason. Like, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good match.
I did too. Like I said, I am not going to bitch about the match. I'm bitching about the production of the match, not the match at all. The match was great. Not even the production of the match, the way... The commercial style of the match, whatever you want to call that. I don't know. I'm not a fucking TV guy.
Sure.
But again, I don't consider picture-in-picture not missing anything. You want to not miss anything, don't have fucking commercials.
Sure.
Say, all right, you know what? They could have taken out 2 segments in this show. They could have literally taken out 2 segments. We couldn't have waited till next week to get the Loomis stuff and found out he's going to be in the host of New Year's Evil. Or they couldn't have just popped that up with a quick graphic.
Right. Well, the AEW as well, but that's the most frustrating thing, or maybe not the most frustrating, but one of the most frustrating things as a whole, of where you're going to fucking go to commercial, but then you're going to show the entrance, but then you're going to go to commercial in the middle of the match. Where it's just like, do we always need entrances? Do we always need these long fucking segments, backstage interviews and all that? Like, sometimes you could cut. There's so many things you could potentially cut in any given show where you could extend the length of the match and you don't have to go to commercial.
Right.
Like, one of my favorite things as a kid was when you would go to 2 minutes left of Raw. They'd be like, all right, we're taking our last commercial break. We're going to come back with the main event.
Right.
Like, I love that part, and I wish they would do that with at least, maybe the main event of each show. Like, I hate how seemingly every match is interrupted by a commercial break.
Yeah, I do too, man. And I would have rather have this match. As well, I mean, not that the main event was awful. We'll get into that. But this would have been fine to do a main event with no commercials. Again, you could have taken out a lot of things in this show. Not a lot of it was needed. You could have just said, you know what, let's wait a week for this. Let's wait a week for that. Not a problem. Not a problem. But they didn't. Still a great match. Again, I'm not complaining about the match one bit. It was actually a really good match. Sasha Baron Corbin says Pete Dunne and Rhea Ripley are the same person. They're never seen in the same place at the same time. No, I promise you they're not. But
it's an interesting theory. Although I will say that Dunne is about 8 shades of whatever color it is that he has on his body different than what Rhea has.
dude, he makes Trump look like white as hell. That guy is like yellow orange. I mean, I don't know what the color's about. I don't know if he's bad. I don't know. I'm not, again.
It's like how every so often Crayola just invents a new color to try to sell more crayons.
Oh yeah. Oh, done color. It's done. What color is this? Done. Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. There we go. I see what you're saying there. Let's roll on a little bit here. Another Boa and Xia Li torture vignette. Xia Li looking like she's straight out of Blair Witch Project.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting a quick snot bubble to come out.
It's interesting. I like big reveal because you just have her just sweaty and exhausted and fatigued, and she's just like kicking away at something, and you don't know what it is.
Right.
And she keeps begging to stop. And then, whoever that he is supposed to be to her, this like shadowy figure keeps demanding that she does it over and over again. And then you look and she's kicking what I believe is her brother. I don't know what he is to her officially, but
right.
I think that's what they're setting up it being. The other gentleman that ended up getting, well, not the other person, I should say, they're not both gentlemen, but the other person that ended up getting sent to the training camp or whatever the hell it's supposed to be.
Boa.
It's interesting.
Yeah, Boa. That's Boa.
Boa, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't hate these vignettes. They're just a little confusing, and I'm sure they'll make a lot more sense down the road. But I just thought it was funny. Xia Li literally looked like she was in the Blair Witch Project. Meanwhile, if you don't follow Xia Li on Instagram, do not miss that. I promise you. Follow her. Beautiful girl. Gorgeous girl. Great body on her.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll get back into that before we get too far. Indy Hartwell versus Shotzi Blackheart. I said we talk about Shotzi, and here we go right here. Indy Hartwell and her had a match. Ended in a DQ. Indy hit Shotzi with the trophy, I guess you could call that. It's like a trophy with a troll doll on it. I really don't have much more on this match. I was watching it, and I'm like, all right, let me take some notes. And then I get to the end of the match, and I'm like, oh, match ended in a DQ.
Mm-hmm.
I really...
Yeah. It was rather brief. I think the only real highlight I got was like the idea of they're beating her with the trophy, and then you have like Wade Barrett on commentary being like she's getting what she deserved because she broke the trophy.
There you go.
Like that was...
Yeah,
but it was sort of, it happened and then it went away. There wasn't really anything too significant that occurred during it.
No, not really. So why spend any more time on it? Let's just move on to this Karrion Kross segment. We get Karrion Kross finally back in the ring. Obviously, the injury, thank God, to his, I believe, shoulder, right? Thank God it wasn't that bad where he's back sooner rather than later. We get Karrion Kross coming out with Scarlett. My God. Anyway, versus Desmond Troy. Now, I knew this was going to be a squash, and Kross did squash Desmond Troy by submission. But what caught my eye in this match was the commentators literally, within the first 10 seconds of the match, commentators are like, this is not going to be good for Troy. He's going to get killed. It's like, y'all got no faith in this guy. Pretend he's going to do something at least.
Yeah, that was kind of funny because like they put over the fact that he was an NCAA wrestling athlete. I don't know if he actually won anything. I don't think they put him over for that. But they made a mention of match. Made a note of mentioning. Yeah, words are hard sometimes,
aren't they tonight?
That he does have the amateur wrestling background and pedigree, but it just kind of doesn't matter because of just how intense Kross is. So I guess that was an interesting way to do it, I suppose. But yeah, they, like you said, they gave him no chance, and he had no chance because he pretty much got squashed.
Now, I'm not sure if I heard it correctly, but I believe Karrion Kross said, Damian Priest, talk your shit because your ass is mine. Is that what he said? Did I hear shit?
He may have. I know that's become a big thing about them saying shit in AEW. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I heard about the same thing. So yeah.
All right. I thought that's what he said. I could be wrong. Anyone in the chat, if you heard different or if you actually know what he said, if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just a weird dude, which we know I am. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the main event. Am definitely interested to see what they're going to do with Karrion Kross. You got to remember he was never beat for that title.
Well, before you go full on to the main event,
sure.
I wanted to get, I don't know if you saw it or whatever, but kind of block of the show that it seemed like it was designed just for me. Because I believe right after this, you had an interview with Swerve Strickland, or Swerve Taylor, or Swerve Scott, rather. There we go.
Yeah,
Swerve Scott, this is NXT name. Always do that. And I was really happy about that because, like, you could definitely tell that there's a character transition going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that heel turn is a coming because they went to him in the backstage area and he had, like, a couple of his dreads were dyed and they were dyed, like, pink and blue. And I was like, oh, shit, he's turning heel. Like, an arrogant asshole is like not even the full hair, but just some fucking streaks of dyed hair.
Okay, and Sacha Baron Corbin. Sacha Baron Corbin is saying Karrion Kross said, "Tuck your chin, because your ass is mine." That doesn't sound right. I heard the Time's Up January 6th part, but I don't think that's what he said. Tuck your chin. That doesn't make sense.
And so then after this, and it was a little bit weird because he kept talking about how he was a little bit upset that he lost to someone,
right?
Like Jake Atlas.
And
I was like, are you talking about somebody that's a newcomer, or like what is it that you're implying? It's a little awkward.
I caught that too, and I don't think that's where he was going with it. I know where you're going with it. I don't think he was going with that.
Right.
I think he was just trying to undermine the fact that he lost to Jake Atlas. You know,
right.
You know, this indie guy, blah blah blah. But anyway, I did
like I said, the letter writing campaign's not coming, but it sounds weird.
No,
when you have the extra context of what's going on behind the scenes and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously knowing Jake Atlas is out and gay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big deal. I like the guy. I think he's a fucking great wrestler. That's all that matters. That doesn't matter.
But then after this, and this is what I wanted to get your opinion on, because like I said, this seems like it was a block of TV written for me because it was just two things where I popped and then popped harder. Right after this promo you had from Swerve Scott, just out of nowhere appear Everrise, and they begin shouting at the backstage interviewer. They say that the three-way match that they had technically shouldn't count because it was like a handicap match, so they're still undefeated. They're coming for Goldberg's streak. And then I forget what the interviewer actually says to them, but they take offense and they ask if she's basically they're asking if she's trying to start shit. Right. If she wants to take a swing at them, if she wants to go outside. And she's just making this befuddled look. And like I just really love, but they basically challenged the fucking backstage interviewer to a fight.
Yeah.
I was loving it. It was great.
Yeah. I like again, man. Everrise rules. Okay. I get it. You're a 90s kind of guys, but a little weird. Now, I did like the Swerve Scott thing. I got to tell you, he would be a great, I don't want to say replacement, but addition to the Hurt Business.
Could be.
He would be. I think he would be, man. I really do. Because I got a feeling Cedric's on his way out. So...
I mean, they're definitely teasing the tension between him and Shelton, but at least for a little while longer, I'd like to see it just kind of remain as it is, because right now it kind of doesn't feel like it's broken. But then again, of course, maybe you want to add something to it before it becomes stale and be kind of... I'd like to see Swerve Scott on his own for a little while, because I feel like he could definitely be that very kind of good, arrogant, obnoxious prick character. Comes out with like the long drawn out entrances and the flashy ring gear and all this, and does all these moves to show up his opponents and shit. Like I'm all for it. I'm all about it. So I'd like to see him have a little bit of time just by himself before he transitions into that role.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt to have maybe MVP pop up on NXT and kind of court him a little bit.
Yeah,
wouldn't hurt.
I like it.
Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt at all. You know, even if he doesn't accept it now, it would be something to maybe look forward to. That's all I'm saying.
Plant the seeds.
There you go. Tease a little bit of foreshadowing, maybe. Huh?
I like it.
There you go. All right, let's get into this main event for NXT. Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley was the main event. Once again, Rhea Ripley in the main event, which I have no problem with. There was some good ass in that ring. But, I mean, basically this was just a couple of Aussie chicks going at it. I mean, this is shit I've searched for on Pornhub. I'm kidding. I'm really an XVideos guy. But anyway.
I was going to say, now we know who's bankrolling these apartment wrestling videos.
No, I'm an XVideos guy. But, but I did really like this match. Rhea being constantly in the NXT main event, I really don't see as an accident. I don't think they're doing it just because she's a girl, just because they want to push the women. I really think she's in the main event because she's main event material.
Sure. I kind of felt a little bit guilty for them because, like, I was putting over how much I enjoyed the Pete Dunne and the Kyle O'Reilly.
No, you're right.
Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly, yeah. The Pete Dunne Kyle O'Reilly match. Words are hard. And it seemed like the other people I heard talking about it were also kind of saying the same thing, that they thought that should have been the main event, but that's sort of kind of retroactively thinking after you see that match and you know how good that match is. Mm-hmm. Bad for, you know, both of the women involved, because it was like nobody knew how good that match was going to be, and then because that match was so good, people being like, well, that should have been the main event. So then it becomes comparing those two matches instead of like kind of letting this match breathe on its own and kind of looking at it in a vacuum or right. Just as another part of the show, because I thought it was a pretty good match. Like I thought it was pretty interesting that they started off kind of doing like quick exchanges. Mm-hmm. Like they were doing almost, they were doing some like quick counters and some transitions and shit. And they sort of, you know, then began to slow it down a little bit. But like we always talk about, like chemistry can be so important to these kind of things. Mm-hmm. They wrestled a lot before on like NXT UK and whatnot. You could definitely tell that they're familiar with each other and they got a good chemistry.
Yeah, and they're both from Australia, so they probably faced each other on the indies in Australia. So I don't know. But these two had a great match. Raquel Gonzalez did end up getting involved in the end. She came out, grabbed Rhea, put her into the post, which allowed Storm to get the win, just furthering the storyline, obviously, which this is going to lead to a hell of a takeover match. I see a three-way. I see a three-way, which, again, I would search Pornhub for that, too. But I mean, XVideos.
There you go.
We should name the show Pornhub or XVideos? ? Okay.
I hate to do this because it's going to kind of come off as an asshole thing to say.
Uh-oh.
But like, I want to get your opinion on it, because like what I'm a little bit worried about is, like, you mentioned they put Rhea Ripley in these main events, and I'm not even trying to shit on Rhea Ripley, but a lot of NXT shows are main evented by women, and they do put over how it's like the best women's division in the world, which I will say, at least in the U.S., is a fair thing to say. I think they do have the strongest from top to the bottom female division. But the thing is that kind of I was thinking about while I was watching this match was NXT has a really good women's division. AEW has a really bad women's division, sans a couple of people.
Getting better.
Thunder Rosa and
Getting
whatnot.
better.
Yeah, they're improving.
Yeah.
But that was always sort of their weak point. Mm-hmm. But AEW's always NXT in viewers. Like I wonder if they're like, if that kind of coincides, if there's a relationship to that, a cause and effect. Like, I wonder what the overall importance people are putting on that. Like, if people are maybe not tuning, or, you know, if people are tuning out, if people aren't watching. I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it. I really don't. I think, like, I mean, we've basically said before, AEW has its audience. Mm-hmm. And NXT has its audience. But what we don't know is how many of the people that watch NXT live DVR AEW, how many that watch AEW live are DVRing NXT and still watching it. That's what we don't know. So, you know, the ratings are good to talk about, you know, and AEW did technically win in the ratings this week. And you know, they kept about 800,000. And again, we're up to about one. I think the numbers ended up being like 1.5 something total, which again, we're adding. It used to float between that 1.3 and 1.4 every week. It seems like, you know, wrestling on Wednesday nights is adding a few more fans, which that's never a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's AEW or NXT. More eyes on wrestling is a good thing, especially for us fans. It will help them push their fucking shit a little better. But sure. I don't know if it's exactly that the women are the main event, the reason that people... I don't know.
Like, I mean, and I'm not even trying to say that, like...
No, yeah.
They've had a lot of good matches. But, like, my overall, like, sort of question, kind of what I'm wondering about, is after WWE spent, like, decades of, like, saying that, you know, women's matches are fucking, you know, lingerie matches or fucking wet t-shirt contest or just not treating it with any sort of reverence or, you know, importance at all. And then like suddenly trying to make it a seminal part of the show, which it should have always been. But I just wonder if the people were, like we talked about with tag team wrestling, to not think about it as being a draw or not being as interested in it as they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, it's hard. If I had the quarter hour numbers up here, it would maybe tell us a little more of that. And I'm not going to pull them up. I just don't even care. Sure. Again, you guys know where to find that if you want to listen to it. But I don't know. I just think both shows kind of have their audience, and every now and then NXT is going to win. Every now and then, or more than likely, AEW is going to win just because it's a newer show still. It's still only just over a year old. It's still young. It's still new. And let's face it, man, I'm not going to compare them to ECW fans, but those hardcore AEW fans are some rabid motherfuckers.
Right.
They will stick up for AEW through hell and high water.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So I just think right now both shows have their fans, and I don't think anything's really popping anything. Here and there we get little things that do that, but NXT can't continue to do like when they won that first time. They can't just keep continuing to do gimmick shows every week after week after week. We're going to get sick of it, and we're going to start making fun of it. AEW can't keep up the pace they kept up for, you know, what was it, Winter is Coming. I mean, they did this week. I'm not going to lie. They had, like I said, that was a fucking action-packed show, but how long can you keep that up?
Sure.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, like that's exactly the point you kind of mentioned. It is like the only thing that really seems to pop really good ratings consistently are the gimmicked nights or the themed nights, the nights where it's supposed to feel like a pay-per-view on free TV.
Right.
And like you said, you can't do that every week. So like, I think both companies are kind of trying to find out what the solution to that kind of problem is.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, we'll get into some news later that has to do with you know, ratings and stuff like that. That'll kind of make a little bit of light of that. But I don't know. I really don't know what's making people tune in and what's not. But like I said, I mean, when NXT has those little, you know, gimmick shows, they do great, but they can't do that every week. They just can't. But you might want to see what matches you had and what made people tune in. I don't know. It's just, like I said, right now I believe both shows just have their fans that are going to stay where they're going to stay. But we don't know who's watching what the next day.
Very true.
So, I don't know. But anyway, that was NXT. Much better show than SmackDown. I guess we can go ahead and get into... You know what, before we get into that, let's do this little quick news story. It'll kind of tie right into NXT. This came out today and was kind of a big topic. I saw it a lot. I got this little article here from Dirt Sheet Radio. Yeah, they came out right after, about 6 months after we did. Name-stealing bastards. But anyway, Triple H has created a team to oversee a new NXT show, which apparently would be an NXT minor league system. Gabe Sapolsky is basically leading the team. Triple H has given him a few agents and writers to help him get more comfortable. And basically, the idea is to create a show that's basically NXT for NXT. So, Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Are they just recreating Evolve? Because Evolve was NXT for NXT, right?
I mean, essentially, that's what it ended up being, towards the end.
So, what are they doing?
I mean, that's kind of a good point. I mean, that's basically what it kind of seems like. They got Gabe running it with help from Triple H, of course, but it's supposed to be I guess, Gabe's project, and then that is, like I said, towards the end of its run, what Evolve ultimately was. So yeah, I guess it's just like sort of Evolve.
And they are looking to get this show on television. The goal is to launch early 2021. Keep getting delayed a little bit, but they say stay tuned for updates. But I just
I think they're fucking up.
Because
I think if what you want to do, they have, especially if they're going to be doing it on the USA too, like they have a track record of being successful with reality shows. So what you do is you make sort of a reality show, sort of a documentary type situation about people either trying to get into NXT, get like accepted, or like the new recruits of like, you see them working out in the performance center, you see them like improving, you see what they have to go through on like a day-to-day grind. And then it sort of chronicles their journey from like being signed to making it into NXT. And then by the time they get to NXT, you already know who they are. If you don't already know who they are based on like, the track record on the indies or what have you.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to see some former football player or weightlifter go out there and have a shitty match. I don't think anyone wants to see that on television, and it's just,
They're having a hard enough time with the main NXT show.
Yes, exactly. They're having a hard enough time. Let's get another show so we can't concentrate on the shows that are already failing, basically. I mean, listen, you know what? Let's go ahead and tie this into it, Smark. Another article came out today, a little while actually before we went on the air, actually during SmackDown. I got this one from Sports Kita. Apparently, USA Network is reportedly, again, listen to that word, reportedly furious with the Raw ratings and want WWE to have more edgier and adult content. No, they're not looking for sexual content, but I think they're looking to make the storylines a little more adult-oriented rather than have the kiddie storylines. And this is from Alex McCarthy of TalkSport. He's saying that, and I'll give you here's what he said. Alex McCarthy of TalkSport has revealed that USA Network officials are reportedly furious with the all-time low numbers for the most recent Raw. A source from WWE, who could that be, told Alex McCarthy that USA Network is very unhappy with the numbers. The source added that the network officials want to have more adult content, to clarify, not sexy adult, but dark and violent content. The source had the following to say, quote, USA Network are furious. They want more adult content, not a sexy adult, but dark and violent adult. So I guess it would be more fiendish action they're looking for, more of that kind of stuff. I guess my first question is, you think that would actually help Raw?
I first off like the idea of them like just a couple of sitting at a round table watching Raw and being like, all right, does this show need to be more sexy? Like, no, it's sexy enough. It's fine there. Okay, we got Asuka. It's good. It's great. What do we need? We need more violence.
Yeah.
It would help. Fucking anything. Like, you can't get much worse. There's a new low every week. So, I mean, you got to try something. And, I mean, maybe if you do start making it a little bit more provocative, I think more than anything, you just need actual storylines and you need fucking some continuity,
I agree. I don't think making it darker is going to really make a difference. I don't think making it more violent might help. I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie. A little more violent, a little blood.
Well, I mean, even if you just get rid of the idea of you're having an actual really good match going on, and then out of nowhere, and I mean nothing against him because I love the guy, but like you're having a real hard fought out match, and then all of a sudden fucking R-Truth comes out and he's dressed as like a beekeeper, and then he's being chased by other fucking, you know, the land of misfit toys that they never plan on using any of these people, the fucking Drew Gulaks of the world and whatnot. Like even if you just cut out the 24/7 nonsense,
no,
like that would help.
That's hilarious. No.
Which I feel a little bit bad for them because they're hamstrung by the fact that they can't do like outside vignettes and they can't go to places, which is probably what they had planned on doing. But right now it's just people running around the performance center like playing fucking hide and seek and doing obstacle courses and whatnot, and it just looks dumb.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. Right now it's hard to really shake up your show when you don't really have fans in the arena because you're not really sure what's working and what's not as much. Ratings can tell you a little bit, but they can't tell you everything. And, you know, quarter-hour breakdowns can tell you certain things again, but I don't think making it more dark is going to help anything because when they do that, they usually go campy with it. Mm. And it's like a stupid horror movie, like a parody horror movie, and they don't really know what they're doing anymore. Once again, man, you know what? You want to boost fucking ratings? Get rid of these fucking writers. Get rid of some of these talent that only you think are good, that are not actually drawing fucking ratings, but you want them to try anyway. Maybe that's what they need to do. Really look into what's going on. But no, no. Let's
at the very least like work on fleshing out characters better.
Right.
Because like we were talking about, and I disagree. That they were going to plan on start using Dana Brooke more, like 2 weeks ago, and I said I don't know about that, and then sure enough, that's what they're doing. What do you know about Dana Brooke, like that they've told you? Like if you follow her online or whatever, you know that she's like a body. Mm-hmm. But what have they on screen on television told you about Dana Brooke that separates her from anybody else? Like what have they told you about like Keith Lee? Like I like Keith Lee, but like what would you know about him that, unless you followed him on NXT or you followed him on the Indies, what would you know about him that they've told you that makes him different from anybody else? Like none of these characters are really etched out in any sort of significant way.
No. Only characters they etch out are the ones that they want to push and they want to really invest in, but they don't seem. Again, they always say, "Oh, we listen to the fans." No, you don't, because you'd be doing more with a lot different people if you do, if you did. But I don't know, man. I really don't know if that will save Raw. Just doing that, because you're still going to have the same writers. You're still going to have Vince McMahon as the last fucking guy that either lets it go through or not. So no matter what they write, no matter what they do, no matter how dark they go or violent. I mean, SmackDown was pretty violent tonight. Jey Uso beat the shit out of fucking Kevin Owens through half the show, which we'll get into in a minute.
Right.
And honestly, it was still a shitty show.
Yeah. And I mean, unfortunately, we've heard this before too, though. Because like I remember when Anthony was on with us still, we talked about something, let's say, being mad that the ratings were down so significantly. And since then, the ratings have fallen even further. So it's like, okay, it's one thing to report this, but like, is it causing any actual changes?
It won't. It won't. Right. And yes, Christopher Kane, I would still motorboat Dana Brooke. Absolutely. I agree with you, sir. I would motorboat that. I would, my God, I would break down. I would break down, actually. The motor would break down right there. I would just, that's it. Anyway, but yeah, I really... I think she's. I don't know. I like her body. She's hot to me. I think she's. I like that kind of tone body. But again, we're never getting. Let's be honest here. We're never getting the Attitude Era back. Ever. Too many sensitive fans out there. Too many people offended by this and by that. It's not going to happen. And you know what? If they do this whole big reset that they always do, either after Rumble or after Mania, it's not going to make a difference. It's just not.
and I know that you know this because I know that we've talked about this a billion times, but like one of the big things that just doesn't necessarily always get credit about the Attitude Era was not so much that it was provocative, because there was a lot of segments that were provocative and edgy that just turned out to be stupid or laughable or just offensive in hindsight, but it was the fact that everyone had something to do that I feel like was the overall catalyst for their success.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, none of your mid-carders have storylines. Some of them do. I'm not going to lie. But they're not good. Most of them are stupid. They're thrown together. They're two people who, like Ricochet and Dana Brooke, I see why they're together, but do we really need to have a mixed tag match? Really?
Right.
No, we don't. So, I don't know. Again, I don't think anything's ever going to change. It's still going to be the same people writing the show. It's going to be the same person that's going to, be the final say in what goes on television. And if you're still, dude, it's a definition of insanity doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, Literally, they're doing the same thing with the same people and expecting a different outcome. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't fucking happen, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. I doubt I am, to be honest with you, though.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get into SmackDown then. Knock that out. Hopefully we can get through this a lot quicker than we just did NXT. NXT, I think, was worth spending some more time on, though. Really good matches on that show. Go ahead.
One thing real quick that we talked about Wednesday, but I wanted to kind of what I was thinking about it. You were reading there was a story about Jim Ross talking about how Vince kind of doesn't care about Christmas and all that. And he was talking also about how they were trying to get rid of like the Armageddon names and whatnot. And one of the things that was mentioned was that Vince likes to keep, this is Jim Ross's word, Vince likes to keep non-wrestling people that are involved in the company like out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that plays now that they're getting more business world being involved as like top executives in their company. Like I feel like that mind state doesn't like just disappear overnight. So it kind of makes me wonder, because we always talk about how you get these people that are successful in other business ventures and they go to the WWE and it's basically like they're just banging their head.
Right.
Like part of the reason why.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm watching the Dana Brooke video you just posted, and I'm wondering what that guy. What is that job?
It's supposed to be laser hair.
The old
supposed to be
the old esthetician. I need a new job. This looks like a good job. Just sitting there. Wow. That's nice. That's a good job. Now, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Well, basically, just talking about how Jim Ross was mentioning how Vince likes to keep non-wrestling people that are involved in their business out of the loop.
Right.
So I wonder if the fact that nowadays, now that they're actually using like non-business people that they bring successful in other business ventures as like CEOs and top executives in their company, if the fact that, like how we talk about how basically people become successful in other ventures, they go to WWE, get those like top executive roles, and then it's like they're banging their head against the fucking tree. Like whether or not Vince is like purposely like kind of treating them in ways that ends up becoming counterproductive because they're not part of the business, as it were.
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of the people that come in from those executive spots go into executive spots, whether it be television or something not directly related to the show. Besides the writers, I mean, I don't know who the writers are. Those could be people off the street. I mean, Jesus Christ, Patrice O'Neal was a fucking writer, a comedian.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Freddie Prinze Jr. was a writer for a long time, but he is a huge wrestling fan. To his credit, he's a huge wrestling fan. So, but I mean, I don't know who the writers are, but most of the people that they take from those higher executive positions go into a similar position when they're there. But again, there's one man you got to please, and that's Mr. McMahon.
Wow.
So the way they did things at the other place, wherever they came from, ain't going to be the way Vince does it, and we know that.
Right.
So, yeah, exactly. I think every now and then that can have something to do with it because obviously you're, I mean, they bring these people in, and then suddenly they're gone, and then they come, and they bring in someone else, and then. But a lot of people do last years in those really high up executive roles. Again, whether it be television or, with their network or whatever it is, they do stay for a long time, and then they leave.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So, there you go. Hope I answered that good enough for you. So, all right.
SmackDown time.
SmackDown. Let's get through this as quick as possible. Before we get into SmackDown, another shot just walked in.
Nice.
It's been 30 minutes, my wife said. So 30 minutes, got to do another shot, I guess. Clink, cheers, chat room, downloaders.
Salute.
Salute indeed. Thank you, baby. See you soon. Whew. I brought in 2 shots with me. I haven't done them yet. I'll wait till after SmackDown until we're almost done to do those. I'm not getting like I was last Friday. Wow. Doing
shots is actually a pretty good way to get through SmackDown.
Oh, luckily we were doing a few shots through SmackDown. But anyway, SmackDown kick. You know what? Instead of going through every single Owens segment one by one, I think we just kind of need to wrap them all into one.
Sure.
Really, this show, the main topic of this show was... and obviously this was the TLC Go Home show for SmackDown. But the main storyline or main plot to this show was Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso. And Heyman. And Heyman to a degree, I guess you could say. Heyman obviously always gets involved since he's with Roman and Jey. But pretty much, Smark, the whole show was... Kevin Owens. Basically we'll tell how it starts off a little bit so we can just kind of get it going. SmackDown kicked off. Kevin Owens, immediately, he goes in the ring, calls out Roman Reigns. Heyman pops up on the screen, obviously cutting an incredible promo because it's Paul Heyman. And then Owens cuts him off and says, listen, I don't care what you got to say. If Roman's not going to come down here, I'm going to go find Roman. Okay? This is how it basically started. Owens ends up in the back by Roman's door. Adam Pearce is trying to stop him from going in. Door is locked anyway. Right as he's doing that, we hear Roman Reigns' music. Owens sees him on the television walking down. There just happened to be a TV screen right outside of Roman Reigns' office. And we see Roman Reigns walking down to the ring. And this is where it all starts right here. Owens heads to the ring, and immediately he's attacked from behind by Jey Uso. Jey Uso attacking Owens is not even close to done for the night, Mark.
No.
Not even close. But the only thing I wanted to mention out of this whole thing before I do anything is Jey attacks Owens, right? He's down on the ground. Roman gets involved and throws 3 or 4 of the worst forearm punches to the back of the head I've ever seen in my life.
Not wrong.
Did you catch that too?
Yeah, they weren't great. They were basically like the Shane McMahon equivalent of forearm punches where Shane throws those like shitty looking jabs. Roman was throwing some pretty suspect looking forearm.
And I know, you're supposed to take care of the guy, but Owens is not a guy who's going to be like, be careful with me. No chops. Fucking Bret Hart's bitch ass. That's not Kevin Owens, obviously. But this is the first time Owens gets attacked. Owens gets attacked again when he's just walking back one more time. He's with Adam Pearce and Jessica Carr. He gets attacked again from behind from Jey Uso with a chair. Basically, I found it funny. Corey kept saying the saying that's tattooed on his fingers. Stay down.
Mm-hmm.
Stay down. Stay down. That was the plot of the show. Owens won't stay down. So there's that. Owens is in the training room. Again, attacked by Jey Uso.
That was the one that made me laugh. It seemed like it came out of seemingly nowhere. Like he was like sitting there like on the trainer's bed or whatever it is, like how they have at those doctors' offices. And he starts to take a sip of water, and just all of a sudden you see him just like spit out the water, and he just gets fucking beaten.
Right. Yeah, it was. But you knew he was when he started telling the train, get your hands off me, get your hands off me. The last beatdown, though, we'll go ahead and save to the main event. But I figured that would be easier to just kind of do that, stay on the Kevin Owens thing. Again, that was the main part of the show. There were obviously different things going on during the show. Street Profits versus Ziggler and Rude. Smark, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Who in the blue hell is Clark Duke?
I wish I knew.
Okay. I'm not the only one. He seems to be a comedian of sorts.
Well, I mean, let's go to the old Twitter machine or the
old Google
machine.
The old Google. Let's see. I think he was in a cartoon. I think he was one of the voices in a cartoon coming out, is what they said.
Clark Duke.
Yes.
Clark That doesn't sound like a real name either.
It sounds like something you check into a really dirty hotel with that name.
Mm-hmm.
Like your name's
when you pay the hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's your name, sir? Clark Duke.
Let's see. We're looking here. I found a Wikipedia, which I suppose if you're an actor and your Wikipedia pops up before your IMDb, that's probably not a good sign.
Well,
he is an American actor, comedian, and director. Drive, Hot Tub Time Machine. He played Clark Green in the TV series The Office. So people who watch Netflix a lot know who he is, but I don't, so I don't.
Okay. Anyway, I still don't know who the fuck he is. Anyway, he was in a little thing. I just didn't know who he is. I was going to ask you, you're more into the younger scene than I am. I'm obviously old and
I have
out of
seen
touch.
Kick-Ass. I like Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is a good movie, but I don't remember him from Kick-Ass.
I saw Hot Tub Time Machine. I heard you mention that.
I haven't. Yeah, he was in that.
That's a
good
good
in The
one.
Office, apparently. So fucking people love that.
The TV show wasn't as big as the movie, though.
Hmm.
Oh, well, no, it was. Actually, the TV show was before the movie, wasn't it? So forget what I just said. I know nothing of what I'm speaking of. So let's get back to wrestling. Now, Smark, we are 27 minutes into this show, right?
Okay.
The match starts. Ding, ding. We get a bell. 90 seconds later, we go back to commercial. We just had a talking segment and a half. We had 2 talking segments and a little beatdown segment backstage, and then finally we get a match, and 90 seconds later, you go to commercial. Okay. Anyway, Street Profits did...
I mean, that's exactly what I was complaining about before. They
Yep.
do all this pomp and circumstance and bullshit. And then when it gets time for the actual match, no one cares about this shit.
Yeah. It's just... Anyway, timing. I mean, who's back there with the stopwatch? Come on. Street Profits did pick up the win in this match, of course. Montez won by holding the tights of Robert Roode. Nothing heelish, a little tit for tat because Roode tried to hold his tights. I did like, I'll tell you what, the match was fine, but Dolph and Roode getting in little Nature's face, and of course, he don't take no shit. Bitch, I'll suspend your asses. I like Little Nate, man.
Oh, yeah.
Charles
He's
Robinson.
great.
Charles Robinson is his name. I do like that guy, but I thought that was one of the better parts of the whole of the show right there, which is not a good thing, Smart.
No. I will say to his credit, he's a very humble dude because, like, before the end times happened in January of this year, I had gone to a house show and he was actually putting up and taking down the ring. So, like, even after all the shit, like, as long as he's been there and everything that he's done and whatnot, he's still just out there doing what he needs to do.
You know, you got to really look at Charles Robinson. He was one of the refs that came over from WCW.
Mm-hmm.
You really got to understand, in my opinion, this is my opinion, how great of a guy must he be to be one of the last ever holdovers from WCW.
Sure.
Seriously. Now, I know the whole little Nate thing and blah, 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 and he's got a lot of history in wrestling, which I'm sure Vince actually appreciates. But this guy has got to be a really great guy to be that long in a company that didn't really care for anyone WCW related.
Right.
So, and again, I mean, we talked a while ago, he's a huge horror movie fan. And he collects a lot of memorabilia. He had a lot of it stolen, and a lot of it got replaced, which, again, a lot of it got replaced from fans.
Yeah, that was very nice. A lot, yeah, like you said, a lot of people banded together to, because I remember that. A lot of people banded together to kind of give him similar items or just new things that he could appreciate. So it was a good story.
Right. Fans of a referee. Not a WWE, right, not a superstar, not a ref, a fucking ref. So, and the fact that you just said, he's out there putting the fucking, putting up and taking down the ring, definitely says a lot about him. He's just one of the boys.
And while he was doing that, like you were saying, he has his fans, because obviously this is in Tennessee, so in Tennessee kind of WCW fans, whatever, or people that remember him from there. Like, while he was trying to take down the ring, there was plenty of people that were just yelling his name, and he was like waving to them, and he'd stop and talk to them for a minute. Like, he had his people out there, And I think some of that definitely comes from the fact that, like, nowadays they purposely try to not tell you who these referees are.
Mm-hmm.
So it, like, almost drives up the legend of some of these referees that you do know. The Mike Chiodas, like you said, Charles Robinson, those kind of people, Earl Hebner, things like that. People like that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, getting the ref involved a little bit, it's not a bad thing, man. Telling these referees names, getting these guys out there, I don't think it hurts at all. I think it's definitely something that you should. They are, whether Vince thinks it or not, those refs are just as much a part of the match as those superstars are on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
No reason.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I knew, like, all the referee names.
Yeah.
They would mention them on commentary. They'd be like, oh, referee Mike Chioda, referee, so-and-so, all these people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No reason not to give these guys some acknowledgement.
Mr. White, that's not wise.
Yeah? Yeah, there's no reason not to give these guys acknowledgement when they're out there. Again, they're just as much as a part of the match as those, larger-than-life superstars in the ring. So, no reason not to, man. But anyway, let's get to this quick match here. The Riot Squad versus Billy Kay and Tamina.
Oh, God. Now, I feel like you can't mention this match without mentioning the beautiful wordplay by Billy Kay, which, God, I hope this was on purpose. If she was purposely trying to look as dumb as possible doing this, I hope that was their intent. Because I was having a hard time staying awake, admittedly, during the show. And I heard the phrase, there is no one Mina, ... then my partner, Tamina. And I was like, all right, you know what? Gonna catch you next segment. And I just kind of drowsed out.
You do know that was her shirt, right? That was Tamina's shirt. Nobody Mina than Tamina.
She announced that, I fell right back asleep.
Yeah, that was her shirt. That was Tamina's shirt. Nobody Mina than Tamina.
God, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of awful, Billy Kay in this match, she gets in the...
You can copy and paste that week in and week out.
Dude, she gets in the ring. She looks lost. She does a move. She looks more lost. And then I really don't get what WWE officials see in this girl.
She's not good. Like, not in the ring, at least. She can be funny on the microphone. Some of her little segments that they've been having her do the last couple of weeks, of, like, bringing her resume and, like, headshots and shit like that. It's kind of funny. But, like, in the ring, she's just not good.
No. And, I mean, you got the Riot Squad, who did a really good little, it wasn't really good. It was a cute little backstage interview before the match. And they're cute together, these two. Talk about something I'd look up on Pornhub. Anyway, and then you get this Billy Kay, and it's like, what? I don't get this. Literally scrap the Billy Kay thing. Scrap it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth my time. It's not worth anyone's time.
Yeah, it was not good.
No, not at all. Anyway, I don't even want to spend time on it because that's how bad it was. We get Carmella's little champagne toast. Sasha, speaking of awful, this was eye-gouging bad, Smark.
I was amazed by that. I like this. There's everyone at least maybe like once a show something will happen where like I can't wait to hear what you got to say or what the chat has to say about this. And this was the segment because like comparative to her last like 2 or 3 weeks of promos, I actually thought this was better than what she had normally been doing. But they clearly gave her the directive that she's supposed to also go out there and be like provocative and sexy. So like you had these very unnatural like transitions where she'll be in the middle of her promo and she'll like, yeah, I'm way better than Sasha Banks, and then she'll like swivel her hips, or she'll be like, Sasha, you're gonna have to find out who you are now that you're not the boss anymore, and she like grabs the microphone and starts like slapping it against her tongue. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this was so unnatural and just like awkward.
You want to know why? Here's what it came off to me. First of all, Carmella has no emotion on the microphone. She's remembering lines, which obviously you can see. She's just remembering her lines. And it looked like when she's remembering her lines, it said parentheses, act sexy here, parentheses.
Like she was about a half second away from literally just saying, Sasha, I'm going to kick your ass, act sexy now.
Yes, exactly. That's how it came off to me. First of all. Second, this was way too long for Carmella to be talking. Way too long. I just, listen, she's a gorgeous girl. Way to go, Corey. Way to cheat on your girlfriend with her. But that's where it stops. Looks can get you only so far in the wrestling business. Well, I shouldn't say that. In my opinion, how's that? Looks
Total Bellas every Thursday.
You're right. See, I caught myself. Looks can get you so far, in my opinion, in the wrestling business. How's that? Is that better? I was happy to hear Sasha's music. I was happy to see Sasha come down. I hated this whole segment. I hated the whole segment. I don't the down to the guy she's using. He's not bad. It's just like, why did they have to give her all this shit when she's just awful? This is another one. I don't
it's
see.
Pretty great though.
I just don't see what what they see in her. Just
like all right,
the,
this character needs something. What does this character need? This character needs Virgil. Like nobody. No. But that was the thing. It was like I said. It was so weird because I don't feel like the promo was really all that bad. But then when you add like the forced trying to be sexual into it, it came across just so weird and just unnatural. Like like Trish Stratus never had this problem. Or like, even when they were doing like any number of the other countless characters that were supposed to be, like evil, sexy villains or whatever, like the Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler or whatever, those kind of people, like they all felt more natural. She just like, she feels like somebody who, for whatever reason, is being forced into being a stripper and is just not with it. Like her parents are being held hostage or something. She's having to like raise ransom money by stripping.
It's like they went, okay, we kept the person who made the Emelita character and we like them. So do me a favor, go out there and do the character we had written for her, for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know. I'm not a Carmella fan at all. I just don't, I don't think she's that good in the ring. I don't think she's a good talker. Again, I feel like she has no emotion when she's on the mic. Again, the forced everything. It felt like she was reading lines from a script.
This bottle of champagne costs more digits than your phone number. Oh boy.
Yeah, and this is an overdone character in my opinion in wrestling too. The sexy girl who does the please. And let's move. Well, we spent way too much time on that. Let's go to Sami Zayn, someone who actually is good at his character. Sami Zayn back there getting ready for the Sammy Awards. Obviously, the Slammy Awards are going to be Wednesday. I think they said that you can start voting online at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. I think I saw that. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me. Antox ain't here, so they might just let me get away with it. So who knows?
This is like the substitute teacher coming in. Like, regular teachers are not here, so we can just make up all the fraudulent bullshit we want for tonight's.
Let's start some rumors. Sammy was having his award show tonight. He's back there getting ready for it, asking the guy, did you do this? Did you do that? And he goes, did you polish the awards? And the guy's like, oh. Sammy goes to get polished. Big E comes up with a menacing laugh, switching envelopes. I don't know why, but I thought of Naked Gun, the third one, 33 and a third.
All I could think about was Bob Backlund. He was very much dressed like Bob Backlund. He had the bow tie and the white shirt and everything.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he was doing something with the envelopes. We will get into that in a couple minutes here. He was doing something, though, with the envelopes. But a good segment here. I like this segment. Big E, once again, I've put him over I don't know how many times on this show, but I'm telling you, Big E as champion, you would get, that guy would be on every talk show in the world. And I don't know. I hope it happens. I want to see it happen. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to this Otis and Chad Gable thing. Otis comes down to the ring with Chad Gable. He's taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. He's with Cesaro, of course. I don't like Otis with Chad Gable.
Not really. And I don't think it's really working for Gable that he's basically just doing like a blow-by-blow, like just impression of Kurt Angle. Because if you look at last week's segment, it was definitely a Kurt Angle cadence. Is there a Kurt Angle?
I would mix Angle and Simon Dean together and tell you that's what he's doing. You remember Simon Dean?
That's fair. I actually like that gimmick a little bit, but yeah.
I really feel that's kind of what it is. It's like Angle and Simon Dean. But here's the problem. Chad Gable is not Kurt Angle.
No.
Kurt Angle pulled off wearing a little cowboy hat and playing guitar with Steve Austin.
Well, like last week, I think it was, you made a comparison that you mentioned it was like how somebody bought a person off Wish. Mm-hmm. Like Gable is basically Wish version of Kurt Angle.
Yeah. That might be a little harsh, even though that usually is my line. Might be a little harsh. I think Chad Gable is good in the ring. I think Chad Gable is actually a good character. I think they should leave Chad Gable alone. I think they should, if they're going to break up Heavy Machinery, which I think was the worst idea they've had in a long time, I think they should actually just do something to put them back together somehow. Or leave Otis alone. Let him go out there. This whole, I told you what to do, but I didn't mean to tell you. I thought you were going to do what you wanted to do. It's like, just shut the fuck up and then stay the fuck off the side of the ring. Just shut the fuck up. You know what? Don't even fuck come out here with me. How's that, bitch?
There you go.
He'd kick my ass, but that's what I would say to him. You know what? Just fucking stay back here then, you little fucking cunt. Sorry.
I would like to hear Otis say that in Otis' voice. Stay in the backstage area, cunt. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be good. My God, I hope my wife didn't hear me say that word. I don't even like that word. But anyway, Otis did get the win in the match. But again, why didn't you hit the caterpillar? You told me not to. He didn't even say you told me not to. Well, I thought you would do it anyway. It's like he's a girl giving off mixed signals. Stop it. Just fucking stop it. And speaking of stop it, what the fuck was that 2021 video they played, Smark?
I had seen this on Twitter, I think, a couple of days ago. And it felt like a fever dream at that point. And I was really surprised that they actually decided to dedicate TV time to this.
I'm literally sitting there like, am I this high or is this that bad? I wasn't sure.
Both.
Okay. Well,
Yes, is the answer to that question.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Yeah, it's so fucking dumb. Because you have like this, like he looks like the Mucinex germ from the Mucinex commercials. He's 2020, he comes out, he basically talks like Jesse Ventura, and you have like Michael
What
this year.
was that? COVID, or
I guess it was supposed to be.
or was that the Mucinex germ? I think it was COVID.
Right, yeah, it's supposed to be COVID, but it looks like those Mucinex germs from the Mucinex commercials. Like the same colors, same type design.
I
But
don't know. Look.
oh no, I mean you're right. It's clearly supposed to be COVID. I'm just saying it looks similar.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the Sammy Awards. I don't even.
Drew has a match against COVID, and I guess 2020, and I guess he beats him up, and then 2021 comes out doing the Daniel Bryan yes chant, and apparently that's supposed to mean that everything's going to be all right next year.
Well, I guess to throw this in there real quick, because we're talking about COVID. Actually, EC3 said he has tested positive for COVID, so let's not. He's going to be out for a while. I don't know where. I don't know if he was even anywhere. But
Ring of Honor.
Okay, all right.
I think he credited like getting checked out for Ring of Honor.
Okay, good.
As the reason he realized he got COVID.
All right, there we go. I got a little bit more to get into about that, but we'll go ahead and just at least throw that in there. While we're talking about COVID, I think we figured we'd throw that in there. Let's get to the Sammy Awards real quick because, listen, Smark, how do I? Yeah. I'm not. Good segment. No. Sammy good in the segment? Yes. Is that a good way to put it? Not a good segment, but Sammy was good in it. Does that make any sense?
That took some twists and turns there. I was on the edge of good segment, but like, all right, I guess I won't argue. Like, no, it wasn't. Like, okay. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. I wanted to I was teasing. I was teasing Smart.
The writing not so great. The execution pretty solid. The commitment pretty solid.
Yeah. Obviously, the Sammy Awards. I think we all kind of knew what was going to happen here. The awards were all going to go to Sammy. Sammy was going to put over Sammy. It's kind of the way we figured it was going to go. Big E, though, of course, we saw him. What was that?
I would say that I was mildly disappointed that he gave himself the match of the year for the triple threat match, the ladder match between him, AJ, and Jeff Hardy, and they didn't have a graphic where he like photoshopped his face over all three of their faces, including his own, just for shits and giggles.
That would have been great. I would have liked to see that. But again, we did mention Big E back there playing with the envelopes before. Sammy gets to the Superstar of the Year award, and it's Big E. Big E came down. Yeah, I guess you're right, just like Bob Backlund. But he did come down. Big E, once again, funny in this segment, too. Ends up kind of throwing Sammy around, hitting Sammy. And, again, the segment wasn't good. I like what you said. Execution by both guys came off well. Came off very well.
Had Big E asking the Notre Dame football team to cover the spread.
He thanked him for it.
Yeah, preemptively. Like, yeah, but please do cover it.
I know. He's good. Meaning he bet on the game. Was surprised he let that through.
Well, they do business with Pete Rose. They don't care about the integrity.
Oh, please. Pete Rose. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to the next match here. Bayley versus Bianca Belair. Bayley did win the match after a rake to the eyes to Belair. Didn't really have much on this match. Not a bad match. Actually, a really good match. Just nothing. I got to take a note of that match.
Mm-hmm. I the one thing that kind of stuck out in my mind was she was Bianca up in her arms, I think, like kind of sort of almost like a fireman's carry type situation. She was like doing squats with her.
Nah.
Using the ring ropes to help her out, but she was doing like squats with Belair to like, kind of take a shot at Belair being like this sort of power wrestler and,
Right.
her abilities. She was like, and, that was the whole thing, was she was purposely trying to do the one-upsmanship thing. She was talking about how she ran track in high school and like fucking did shot put or whatever. She was listing all these like probably fraudulent sporting activities that she had in her youth. That
In high school.
Bianca Belair's whole thing was EST. She's like the best, nicest, whatever.
Right.
And then Bayley was saying that her thing now is she's ER. So I guess she's a sort of George Clooney of the WWE now.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And then the only other thing that stuck out in my mind was at one point Bianca Belair started slapping her ass at Bayley, which just seems like, don't let hubris get the best of you, because you're not going to win that battle. That's like trying to pull one out on Tommy Lee. Like, don't do it. Because I could just very well picture Bayley just turn around and be like, oh, you want to get that battle going, huh? All right.
Yeah, but don't pull anything out on Tommy Lee, by the way. You're going to catch something. You're going to catch something. That's all I'm saying. But hey, Smark, by the way, don't forget to get your WWE Superstar debit card with NetSpend.
They can have AJ Styles' face on my card.
Or Becky Lynch.
WCW used to do that. That reminded me of those. Because
Yes.
I remember being a kid and being mad that I wanted to have like a Goldberg credit card.
Wow.
I think they made like a Ric Flair one too, which is hilarious.
Jesus.
Irresponsible he is.
Yeah. A Ric Flair debit card is already in the negative when you get it.
I was about to make that joke. Well played.
It already owes $20,000 when you get the card.
That's the deposit that you have to pay. Like, you already owe us money.
That goes towards Ric Flair's alimony payments.
God bless him.
Vince is trying to make his money back. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the last little segment we got going on here, which was, again, we talked about the main storyline of this show being Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Kevin Owens. Reigns does hit the ring. They say this is going to be Reigns' final words to Kevin Owens. He is in there talking. Owens staggers down to the ring. He ends up taking out Jey Uso with a chair. He gets in the ring, and Roman pretty much takes him down pretty quickly. Roman's is hitting Owens with a chair, and Jey is throwing chairs in the ring like he just found cotton candy under the ring. Oh, look what I found. And he's just throwing chairs in the ring and tables and ladders. Jey ends up putting, he sets up two tables. Jey ends up putting Owens through one, and then he clears that away. Reigns puts him, Owens through the other table, and then they bury him under tables, ladders, and chairs, Smark.
Oh, my.
And then they do the exact spot that Seth Rollins got so much shit for. They beat him with the chairs under the tables, ladders, and chairs. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this little end segment of the show, actually. I never mind a good beatdown for a pay-per-view go-home show. Never.
Sure. It works good for everybody, I think. You have Roman that's trying to, like, beat the respect into Owens. Owens is, like, still keeping his resolve about him that he's going to take all these beatings and he's still going to keep coming. Both people look good.
This was kind of to make Owens the won't stay down guy. He'll keep getting up. And even Paul Heyman said he was a martyr. Mm-hmm. That kind of was, again, kind of giving you a hint to what the show is going to be about, where he would sacrifice anything and anything to get that title. So I really think this was a good way to end it. And even then, they, when Roman and everybody, all the guys walked out of the ring, they're back there watching a television. Owens gets up and is, gets to a chair and is still talking shit, saying he's going to take the title at tables, ladders, and chairs. This was probably one of the better parts of the show. The whole Owens thing was not a bad part. Everything in the middle of that, though, really they didn't care about. It's like they spent so much time doing this whole Kevin Owens, Jey Uso thing and Roman Reigns, they forgot about everyone else.
Right. That was definitely their foundation, and they were just building around that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it showed. But yeah, I mean, as a go-home show, it wasn't like the go-home show before Survivor Series. I thought was really good, but this one just not so much.
The go-home segment at the end was really good, and I think that's probably really the best we can say about this show. But like I said, it feels like they spent so much time, like you said, working around this segment, and I think they ignored everything else. It just wasn't that great. The only other good thing on SmackDown I could see was the Sammy Awards, which was, again, not a great segment, but those two guys can pull off shit segments well.
Yeah.
Which is a compliment to them, I would hope.
Sure, I agree with that.
So, oops, drop my vape. Not my e-cig, my vape. Anyway, that was SmackDown. We don't have a ton of news tonight. We got a few things to get into. You know what? Let's go ahead, since we're keeping on SmackDown a little bit. Paul Heyman. We've all said Paul Heyman knows talent. He can judge talent. He's had a lot of talented guys with him, alongside him. But I got to disagree with Paul Heyman on this one here. Paul Heyman says WWE SmackDown star Carmella is a Class A1 athlete.
What does that mean?
I think he was saying a lot of this in, I don't know. It was a lot of this. Some of this was coming from Talking Smack. So Paul might have been being Paul. But let's see here. He says, and I quote, Carmella has what it takes to take down anybody that is there in front of her. Carmella is that talented. Don't be swept away by the beauty and the glamour and sex appeal and the marketing and the promotion behind her as such. Understand, that's one definitely Class A athlete that just walked on the set. Someone very capable and quite experienced at being a champion. She knows what it takes to reach the top and stay there. Whether she can accomplish her goals or not remains to be. Okay. I respect Paul Heyman. I like Paul Heyman. I think he's a very, very knowledgeable man. He can spot talent. He has picked talent. He ran ECW. He chose a lot of the talent that was in ECW that made ECW what it was. I can't agree with him on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. I've said when we talked about Carmella, I've said my feelings on it. I don't think she has any of what he's saying at all. Go ahead, Smart.
Well, I mean, if you said this is from Talking Smack, I would just kind of take it as face value of him just being company man, towing company line. Just she's somebody that you're trying to get over right now. So who better than to get somebody over than Paul Heyman? But if you're actually evaluating what he's saying, let's actually just take it for what it's worth and actually analyze what it is that he's saying. That's a little bit more fun to do. What about her just comes across as being athletic? When you look at some freakish athletes, you look at, we talk about all the time about the kind of hang time that Montez Ford can get. You talk about Brock Lesnar, just super fucking ripped, strong, fast guy, when he was a little bit younger. He's getting a little bit older now, but he fucking crazy athlete. They've had on their roster that have been super athletic, that are just naturally gifted and can do things that other. We were talking about Rob Van,
right?
But what about her that she what does she be like? Well, you can't get that from anybody else. Nothing.
You've got tons of blonde-haired, brown-eyed. I think she's actually brown-eyed, blonde-haired girls out there that can do the same thing that she can do. Sacha Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is not a phenomenal athlete. Go fuck yourself.
I mean
that with love. Okay.
I'll give him a little bit of credit. He was a football player. He did play in the NFL for a couple years. Consider him to be overwhelmingly.
Was he was he a known? I mean, was he one of the known guys? Does he Does he have a hat?
No, not at all. He was like a defensive lineman, I believe.
All right, so nobody gave a fuck about him then either. See my point? That it just carries over.
I know that he played for the Cardinals, but that's about all I can tell you. I think he was a defensive lineman, maybe a defensive end.
Yeah, good for him. I could see him being. Maybe he was a tight end. Who knows? I'll let that sink in for a second. All right, but yeah. Again, I understand if you said it on Talking Smack, that's something you can say. But wow, I just don't. I mean, Heyman towing that company line, I get it, but nothing she has that you can't plug and play. Like I've said about Roderick Strong, I think he's plug and play. You could plug and play that Carmella character with probably 20, 30 other girls that you have on the roster. And they might even be better at it.
There's no one thing that, like, particularly stands out about her that she's better at than, like, other people. Because you get, like, you know, like, in terms of, like, technical proficiency, if you look at, like, the top of that list, you'd probably have, you know, like, your Charlotte or Asuka or, you know, whatever. You look at, well, or whatever, you know, you have like the Shayna Baszler's out there, you know, and you have fucking promo ability. Like, she's not the top of that. Like, there is nothing that, if you look at like Bayley, like, she's not the best at anything, but she does everything pretty well. Mm-hmm. She's not even like that. Like, there's really nothing. She's not like particularly good at one thing, and she's not like really solid at everything else. Like, there's just not a lot popping about her.
No, not really. But like we were saying, if he said it when he said it, that's fine. Whatever he did, he probably did his job, which that's it. But again, I wanted to just kind of, you know, say everything we said, and we'll go ahead and move on. We were talking about EC3. Another part of this article, and this is a WrestlingNews.co article, and he did an interview with Chris Van Vliet. And that's where this is all coming from. He also said that when he was moved up to the main roster, when, right after his match at TakeOver Brooklyn with Velveteen Dream, he had a concussion at that time, and WWE really didn't care. They just kind of wanted him to keep doing what he did. He says, when asked about his concussions by Chris Van Vliet, he said, "It was a live event. We can start a three-pronged story. One was taken at TakeOver Brooklyn with Velveteen Dream. I was DDT'd on a ramp, and I don't remember anything until I woke up in the trainer's room. They asked if I knew where I was. I said no. I don't remember the match, which sucks because that's a big platform. I came back 6 weeks later, and I got caught with a knee to the back of the head in an NXT match. That's the second in 2 months, so they were really being cautious while I was out. I got called up with a concussion, which felt weird. Anytime I've been injured, it's never been, how long. Anytime I've been injured, it's never been how long until I'm healthy. It's always how long and can I be back. I probably came back too soon, but I was getting called up." So, stop there real quick. Mm-hmm. You don't think that WWE knew he had a concussion? I know he did. You know he did. And they brought him up anyway.
Right.
Yep. And he even says, "I got called up with it. The run is what it is. I think a few months down the road, a live event match, I got caught with a luchador flying forearm or something. It knocked me silly, but I kept trying to work because I didn't think it was what it was. One day I showed up for TV, fish white, and if I'm not tan, something is wrong." Fucking sound like this. This is a Jersey Shore episode suddenly.
Fish white.
Yep. They asked if I was all right. I said, "I don't know." I took a test and I was concussed. I went through the protocol, and coming back from the protocol, I couldn't pass the test this time. It was very difficult. I'm going to stop there. There's a lot more to this article. Basically, it feels like that's kind of why they probably went ahead and released him when they did. During that whole thing, he was already... It seems like I would guess they figured he was injury prone, which WWE can do a lot. So I guess they figured, why bother with him? But he's not doing bad. I know he has COVID. I guess he's already been quarantined for 10 days, so he's going to be out of that soon, and that'll be fine. But again, WWE knowing he's concussed and brings him up to the main roster anyway. Why don't you just leave him where he's at for a while?
Right. Yeah, it seems like, based on what he was saying, that there was a couple of opportunities where they just rushed to get him back out there before he was healthy, which you can't at all do. You can't really do with anything, but especially those concussions, those can stack up quick.
Oh, yeah.
And then next thing you know, he gets another concussion because they weren't safe with him and they didn't give him enough time to heal. Then he gets another one, and it's instead of taking accountability of maybe we kind of did him dirty. It's like, oh nah, like you said, he's injury prone. Get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but I mean, I kind of feel bad for the guy. I was always an EC3 fan. I thought he was great when he was over there in TNA Impact. And then he, gets over to NXT, and he was really happy there. And then we saw him move up to the main roster, and they did nothing with him. He was another guy chasing the fucking 24/7 title with all the other goofs,
right?
For lack of a better term. But I don't know. He was out there doing that. Antox in the chat. What's up, Antox? So I really feel bad for him. I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad I believe he's in ROH right now. I think that's what they said. So hopefully, hopefully he's doing good there. And I know he did a little stint in, back in Impact, and we played a few of his promos back then when he was going back to Impact. He's trying to reinvent himself, and he seems to be able to do that very well. So good luck to him, man. I'm again, I kind of feel bad WWE treated him as shitty as they did, because they had a real talent on their hands, I think.
And he's still, I believe he's still somewhat of a young guy. I think he's like maybe mid-30s at this point. So it's like he's still got some time to kind of, like you said, reinvent himself is what he's been doing. So maybe catch on somewhere else.
Right.
Like he's in Ring of Honor now is what I was hearing. The SBC was saying he was supposed to be on their pay-per-view until he came down with the COVID. So maybe he'll maybe AEW, maybe New Japan, or just somewhere where he just has fun and enjoys himself being there.
Yeah, I would say, I hate to say it, but I think in AEW, I think he would get completely lost in the shuffle there. He's just he's like Brian Cage light in AEW, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see what you're saying. I mean, I maybe not Brian Cage, but I could see him maybe potentially becoming like Shawn Spears territory, where he debuts and people have expectations for him, and he doesn't, for one reason or another. It just never matches up.
Yeah, I could see that one too. I'm just saying he's like Brian Cage, like kind of the same looking, the jacked guy, tan, except not as big. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, yeah. But, good luck to him. I hope obviously I hope he gets better from his COVID, and I hope he really starts getting some opportunities out there, because I really feel EC3 is a really good, not just character, but I think he's a really good talent, and luckily he's still young. I really feel like Vince just remembered who the guy was. He's like, wait a minute, this is that guy that was on NXT with Caitlyn. Oh, shit. Wow. Why did we bring him back? Derek Bateman?
And I don't know if it's safe to call it a gimmick, because I don't think it really ever lasted. But he, where it was like him and Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan were together, and he kept doing the thing where he was wearing like the ninja headband, and his whole thing was like chicks in America. He was like supposed to be like kind of this like pseudo like 80s action hero type situation. Yeah. Where it was like all these like fucking monster trucks and fireworks and bald eagles and all this shit. And like it was a lot of fun. Like I feel like that had legs. You could kind of go somewhere with that.
Yeah.
And they never did anything with him. And that's a shame. He's a charismatic guy. He's got a good build. He can move well. He's a decent enough wrestler. Like, somebody's got to be able to do something with him.
You would figure they would be able to, but I don't know, man. It just seems like they just never wanted to. And like I said, it almost seems like when Vince figured out who the hell that guy was. From before, he was like, ugh. Meanwhile, what a lucky guy to do stuff with Caitlyn. My God, lucky guy. All right, we got one story left, and that's really all I've got, to be honest with you. Ric Flair, always talking, blah blah blah, big mouth Ric Flair. Ric Flair out there on the ESPN little show called The Jump with Rachel Nichols.
That's right. Yeah, it's a basketball show primarily. Covers the NBA. So they got like the NFL. It's like NFL Inside Zone or some shit. I don't remember what it's called. But they got like an NFL show. They got the NBA show. That's their NBA show. Is The Jump. It's like you said, Rachel Nichols. I think like Paul Pierce, Kendrick Perkins, a couple other former basketball players.
All right, there you go. So I don't know who most of those guys are, but Ric Flair, of course, like I said, always out there trying to talk, and might have spilled some beans he shouldn't have. Talked about in one of the questions, he was talking about his robes and stuff, and he accidentally said that the WWE, after buying the robe from him, was in the process of building a Hall of Fame, a physical structure in Orlando, being delayed a little bit by COVID. According to Wrestling Observer, Flair may have jumped the gun because WWE has not responded to any comments from anyone about it, even Dave Meltzer. We've all talked about possibly there being a physical Hall of Fame for WWE, how it would be nice, it'd be good, it'd be fun. Did Ric Flair just spill the old potential beans on what they were doing? I wonder.
Could be.
Could be. Ric Flair, man, just always trying to get a scoop out there to get his name printed, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, it works for the fucking guy.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. People pay attention.
Yeah, and I'm sure it has been, delayed through this whole COVID thing. They're not really doing a ton of construction anywhere. They've kind of slowed down. I mean, they're doing street construction still around here. It seems like every fucking day. But just thought it was weird that I thought it was kind of funny. Ric Flair, being Ric Flair, going out there and doing Ric Flair things like giving away that WWE may be building a Hall of Fame in Orlando, which I think a lot of people thought it might be in Connecticut.
Yeah, I would think so too, or somewhere. Like Orlando just seems a little bit weird. I mean, maybe like New York again. That didn't work too well for them when they tried WWE New York.
Yeah,
as much as they love fucking Madison Square Garden, you would think maybe somewhere around there, or like you said, Connecticut, home turf.
Yeah, that whole WWE New York is when, like, what was that restaurant? That big restaurant that they were kind of competing with there.
Planet Hollywood?
Planet Hollywood. They were competing with that and things like that. And
see, I feel like if you open up, I feel like if you would have opened up somewhere that wasn't New York, like you open up, fuck, even Chicago, maybe. It's like it's not bogged down with all kinds of restaurants already.
Yeah. Actually, that Tampa or Orlando would have been a better place for that to be at that time.
I could see that.
Yeah, definitely. But they wanted WWE New York, and listen, they had a lot of fun there. They did a few things there, but it didn't really go the way they wanted it to. But hey, we're getting towards the end of the show. I said I would wait, so hey, shot for Ric Flair.
I'm genuinely surprised that there's not a Hall of Fame anyway already, because that seems like a can't miss, moneymaker for them. You put it in like kind of a touristy area already, and just kind of let the money pile up.
You just said it. Touristy, Orlando, Disney, Epcot, Universal Studios, dude. Orlando is one of the tourist meccas of Florida, besides Miami and South Beach and all those places, which are different tourist places. You get a different crowd on both of them, obviously. But, I mean, Orlando, man, right there.
No, I know what they're going to do. They're going to put it, like, right next to fucking Daytona. So it's going to be like the little NASCAR museum and then the wrestling museum. It's just going to be...
There you go. I've actually been to that NASCAR museum. It's kind of cool.
I have too. It's a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
It actually is. Even if you're not a fan, you actually get to see a lot of cool stuff, man, from in that place.
I had a good time. I mean, I was a kid, so I don't remember a lot about it. I was like 12, but I remember it was a good time. Like they let you. There's little things where you could like call, like the last lap of a race, or you could like the little simulator that you could get in and fuck around. And it's interesting in the sense that they have a lot of really cool, kind of fun ways to engage their fans. And then as soon as the actual race itself starts, it becomes super fucking boring.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I said, that's kind of how like Monster Truck became. You know, now when you buy a ticket to Monster Truck, if you just go early, you don't have to buy a ticket to go down on the floor and get the autographs and do that. All you got to do is get there early. That's it. You don't pay extra. So it's kind of cool, you know, good interaction with the fans and shit like that. And what can I say? I like me some Monster Truck. I like rodeo, too.
There was one, I forget what it's called, but it's like a zombie monster truck. They make their body out to look like it, because you got like the little zombie arms and shit, and it's like a zombie style paint job. It looks really cool. I wish I could remember what the truck is called, but it's like a newer one. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I haven't watched in a while, man. I'll just never forget. Me and my kids went, and my son Logan, the older one, the now 12-year-old, was probably 2.5, 3 years old when we went. That's how long ago it was. And we saw the Maximum Destruction, is the monster truck. The guy that was, what's his name? Last name Mintz. Tom Mintz. Tom Mintz drove the Goldberg truck. The Goldberg truck converted into Maximum Destruction. Same color, but it was just a different name. That truck, when we went, did some crazy shit. At the end, they do a little freestyle, and they all go out there and go crazy. That truck flipped over and exploded. His engine exploded. And, I mean, he had to jump out of the fucking truck. My son, like 3-4 years ago, still remembers that to this day. Dude, he could not have been more than 3 years. I don't even think he was 3. I think he was 2.5. But I mean, it always amazes me that he remembers that, and he'll tell you the name of the truck and everything. I don't. What kids remember is amazing, but I don't know, man. But yeah, that was Tom Mentz. That's definitely his name. But he drove the Goldberg truck, and I don't know, man. I've always been in that, but I've always been in a rodeo too. Because if you remember, after WWE, for the first season, you would have monster trucks right after. After that season was over, you would have rodeo come on right after. I was always home. I didn't have to be at work at any certain time, so I would always stay up late. So I'd watch the rodeo. You a rodeo fan at all, Smark? I know you're out there in Tennessee.
We have every year. The short answer is no.
Huh.
I'm not even trying to act like I'm like better than it, or it's something less or whatever. It just never really interests me. But we do have around here every year, not this year I don't think because of the whole COVID situation, but every year they do have like a local rodeo where all the proceeds go to St. Jude's, the Children's Hospital, and that usually is pretty popular. There's usually a lot of people that go to that, and it's, you know, again, for a good cause, so that's usually pretty good.
Well, let me explain why I probably like rodeo. I grew up, my sister did the horseback riding. Like when you watch the Olympics. Exactly. When you watch the Olympics, you'll see the horse jumping. That's what my sister did. Lower scale, lower jumps. She did get up to those bigger jumps, though. My sister did that. So did I. I actually did it for a little while, too. But a lot of times when we were in we lived in North Carolina at the time. A lot of times when we would go to what was known as Dorton Arena at the time, which many wrestling events were there, we would go to Dorton Arena. We would share it with the rodeo because, you know, you already got horses out there. You might as well get the whole rodeo together. You know, may as well get the rest of the livestock in there. So we always shared that with the rodeo guys. So I would see a lot of people that I would see on TV.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I would be like amazed by it. But we would share it with them, and they'd come out there, and, you know, at night, during the day, we would do our thing. And at night, you'd have the rodeo guys. And we used to stay, we had a motorhome. So we would stay there anyway. So I would, you know, I was a kid. My parents wanted to go watch the rodeo. What was I going to do? Sometimes I would stay in and play my Nintendo. But most of the times, I would go watch the rodeo. And that's probably how I got into just liking it, enjoying it. I mean, watching that shit live, dude, is fucking... Watching those bull riders, man, is amazing. Those guys are tough motherfuckers.
Sure.
I mean, watching them get thrown... I mean, listen, I've fallen off of a horse before. And a bull isn't even as tall as a horse, but I've fallen off some horses before. Fuck, does it hurt. It hurts. I can't imagine getting thrown from a bull. Now, I've been thrown off broncos. I did do bucking broncos a little bit. When I rode, my trainer always said that no horse could throw me, and she was amazed by it. So I tried bucking broncos. It's fun. It hurts. It hurts. Because you use a lot of leg muscles when you're doing it. And for usually 2 days after, you cannot walk. But it was fun. It was fun. But my sister still has 4 horses right now. You know, she's always been into horses and horseback riding. And, you know, her horses aren't show horses anymore. They're trail horses. She takes them, and her, you know, there's 4 in her family. So her and her kids and her husband go ride them. But she's always stayed in the horses. Me, not so much. I was pretty much the way to get to the stable and the ring. People had all different ways. They had golf carts. They had motors, you know, scooters, motor, you know, almost like a little motor, you know, motorcycle. And they had dirt bikes, and that was where I got my first dirt bikes, Mark. My Honda CR50, 50cc. That's right, buddy. I got pictures of me jumping jumps with jams on. Remember those jam shorts? You don't, do you?
Not at all. I mean, I might be able to remember it if I saw like a picture. I'm gonna take a look here. I'm gonna search it while you talk. But it does not strike a memory.
No.
Did you guys have like a lot of room at your house back in the day? Like a lot of acres or whatever? Were you like a big backyard situation?
When we were doing those shows, when we first started doing them, no. We lived in a house in North Carolina on a road called Current and Choice, and we just kind of had a regular house. We were at a farm called Horse Creek Farm at that time. We would drive there about 20 minutes away. After we got through that, we did buy a 13.5-acre farm in North Carolina, it was awesome, dude. I had a pond that we stocked with fish. We stocked them with bass, catfish, brim, and all kinds of stuff, dude. And, man, we fed those fish for 2.5 years before we even put a fishing line in there. Every day we went down and fed those fish. And,
nice.
Man, those bass, I'll bet they're huge now. That house ended up burning down, but I actually know who burnt it down. I know exactly who did it. It was my sister's ex-boyfriend. He was partying there, and something happened. But those fish were huge, man. It had a huge pond. We had we had a pasture for the horses to go out in. We had 7 horses in that barn. We had a 7 barn, 7 stalls in that barn, and it was good times, man. It was good time. We had 5 dogs. What kind of dogs you got, Smark? I heard your dogs were barking earlier.
2 Rottweilers.
Oh,
which
shit.
I know sounds very sort of suspicious, but it's just always been like the kind of...
Well, I mean, you didn't say pit. I mean, you didn't say you had 2 pit bulls, so you know, nothing really suspicious there. But Rottweilers, I'm nice, man. My buddy had a Rottweiler, called it Keela, after tequila.
the thing that stuck out to me was like, cool.
Huh. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I became a fan when I saw there was like I watched a video on YouTube. No, maybe not.
I didn't hear that. You cut out.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
You're good.
There was a YouTube video that I saw like a long time ago. It was a Rottweiler, and he was like herding bulls.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like these bulls are like, it was like maybe 5 or 6 bulls, and they were like obviously clearly a lot bigger and a lot stronger. And I just remember it, but like the Rottweiler was just had the motherfuckers in check, and it was just like so unafraid and just so confident. I was just like, man, I got to get one of these dogs. Like, these dogs are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I mean, they're very smart dogs, and they can be very stubborn, but very smart.
Yeah. Rottweilers are known to be still good dogs. I mean, they get big, they get strong, but that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, I got a little fat half pug, half Boston Terrier. But
nice.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you didn't say you had 2 pit bulls out there fighting it out. I mean, if you did, I would have bet money. I would have laid down money when they started fighting. You should have told me if they were pit bulls.
I've never really been into pit bulls, honestly. Like, nothing against dogs, but I just, as getting in terms of actually owning one, just the overall aesthetic of a pit bull has never really been interesting to me.
You know, I like pit bulls. I'm not going to lie. And I know a lot of people say pit bulls are training and love, and they can't hurt anybody. My buddy had a pit bull named Scrappy after Scrappy Doo. That was one of the best dogs in the world. Every time I went over this dude's house, I won't lie, I bought weed from the guy, but I would go over his house, and the dog would literally just jump up on the couch and lie with me. The best pit bull I've ever seen. But pit bulls have been known to turn on their owners, as have chows. Chows are all those black-tongued chows. Have been known to turn on their owners also. So there are dogs that have been known to turn on their owners and just suddenly, out of nowhere, become violent. It's not that I don't trust a pit bull around my kids. I do. But I do have a few reservations. You know what I mean?
It's fair. I mean, it doesn't think like, and this goes with all dogs, and I mean, I'm just like people in general. Like, I think people really need to fucking stop the shit where you let your kid on the dog's back. Because, like, okay, yeah, it's cute enough, and like, I 9 times out of 10, harm won't happen. But like, you're really pushing it. Like, I understand if anything happens, it's obviously you're gonna beat shit out of the dog, but like, the dog after a while is gonna feel threatened. Like, it's just in its nature. Like, I've had this happen with one of my dogs, and it wasn't me who did it. It was like one of the people that was at my house, like a relative. They kept putting their kid on the dog, and the dog ended up biting the kid. And I was like, the dog did what the dog does.
Dog being a dog. Listen, my daughter was out there the other day, and I got a phone call. My wife was in the bedroom doing something. I was out in the kitchen, and we have a gate, so she couldn't get in there. But she was trying to get something. She was trying to grab what my dog was eating. My dog is not. My dog's not vicious. He will not. He's never actually bitten one of my kids. He has snapped at him. He snapped at her the other day for trying to get something he was eating.
Right.
Which, the dog being a dog, dude. I didn't yell at him. I actually got nervous and grabbed her. I didn't say anything to the dog. But I mean, there's certain things. But yes, she's tried to jump on my dog's back, and again, I've got a little half pug, half Boston Terrier. Neither one are big dogs. And she's done the same thing, try to jump on his back, and he will growl and kind of look at me like, get her off before I do something I'm going to regret. And I will, but it's just dogs are dogs. They're still animals, man. You can't.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if like the kid on its own tries to get on the dog, like you can't that's hard to stop because that's a kid being a kid too. You know, it just happens. It's that curiosity factor, the mischief. But you know, like don't better. You should know not to fuck it. It's not a horse. It's a dog. Don't put your kid on the dog. And like, because it's just a bad combination. After a while, is you know, it's in its instinct to defend itself, and then the kid, like, if the kid's not really prepared, and you know, it'll get scared. It doesn't know not to, and then that makes shit a lot worse. Like,
Right.
my grandparents' dog, it was sleeping, and my cousin tried to lay on it, and she's little. She was like 3 or 4 at the time. It didn't hurt the dog, but it just scared the dog. So the dog like jumped up and like kind of started to like kind of go after her for a little bit, and she freaked out, and that made it worse.
Right.
And she didn't get like kind of snapped at her, and then that became a problem because I had to get the dog out before my grandmother got really upset. But that's all another.
Yeah, I mean,
Kids don't know better.
no, kids don't know better, and neither does that animal.
Sure. Exactly.
Again, that animal. No matter how great your dog is, it's still an animal. They have instincts. Animal instinct. It's a word. It's a phrase. We all know it. So yeah, certain dogs will, you know, any dog has a breaking point. My dog can take so much from my kids. But then there's certain things when he's hurt, he'll let them know. He'll give a growl. You know, and he'll give them a warning growl. I've seen this many times with all my kids. I got 3 kids I've seen, and my oldest son was 2 when we had this dog. So all my kids have grown up with my dog. He'll give them a warning growl, you know, just a little one, and then he'll give them a couple more, like 3 or 4, and then he'll snap at them. But what I know, if I heard that first growl, I need to figure out what my kid's doing to the dog, because they're either hurting him or really pissing him off, which could still mean hurting him. I mean, my dog will let my daughter squeeze his ears, pull his hair, but try to sit on his back, he's going to get fucking pissed. Try to take something he's eating, he's going to be a fucking dog. He's going to be an animal, and he's going to have instincts that are going to be like, you ain't taking my food. You know, it's just the way it is. But that all comes down to you got to be a parent sometimes. You can't.
I've only ever been scared of a dog one time, and like I think I was a teenager. Like we had gone to like an extended family. It was like my grandpa's fucking sister or aunt or whatever. I don't know. Like it was one of those where it's like you don't really know for sure how you're related to this person. You just do know that you're related to them.
Yeah.
But she had a bull mastiff.
Ah.
My God.
Big.
This dog was, I think she's 55 pounds, and like healthy, not fat. Like it was the size that the dog should be, which is the scary part. Like the dog was fucking huge. But it was a great dog. Like it was very kind and very playful, and it wanted to play tug of war with me. And but the rope back, and like it kind of grazed my hand with its teeth, and I was like, that's it, that's the end of the game. Like it didn't snap, it didn't bite, it didn't even hurt. I just knew that there was a teeth on skin, and I was like, nope, no more.
No, dude. When I was, really young. Again, I left Boston when I was 6 years old, but I remember my dad had a Great Dane. It just popped in my head, and then it literally left my head. My dad had a Great Dane. It was the best dog in the world, but it just, it didn't like. It wasn't a kid dog.
Sure.
And it didn't like the kids jumping on it and trying. I guess I did the same thing. And you know what? After I left Boston, moved to North Carolina, we had a Cocker Spaniel who was the best dog. This dog never hurt a fly. Never. Me and my sister one day got into an argument. She smacked me. And the dog took her down somehow and bit her in her eye.
Ooh, yikes.
It protected me, that dog. And, dude, That was my sister's introduction to cocaine, because they used liquid cocaine because they couldn't use Novocaine on her eye. Yeah, that was back in the 80s, so I don't know what they would use now, but they're like, yeah, just give her, just let her snort this. But
I want to go to the doctors you're going to. These sound like some interesting doctors.
Yeah, well, this was actually the hospital.
Oh, okay.
This was the ER. The ER we took her to. But dude, dogs have instincts just like people. Human instinct, animal instinct. It's all. But dogs will protect you when they know something's wrong. My dog. Again, I've said my dog. I'm sorry, but I said my dog, calm shit, will let my kids do anything. If my wife slaps my arm, like even jokingly, he'll start growling at her. So, dogs got instincts, man, and that's it. But anyway, this looks like Smark just dropped off here. I don't even know how we got on the dog topic and everything. But probably a good way to wrap up the show right here. You see if Smark comes back real quick. I'm just kind of waiting here. But what I can do in that moment is find the music to end the show. While I'm doing this, I don't see it, but I will in just a second, hopefully. There it is. So let me move this over here. Let me drop this here. And I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I'll start the plugs. Hopefully Smark will jump on while I'm doing the plugs and he can finish them up. But really appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Thought it was a pretty damn good show. Had a good time with you guys. But really appreciate everybody joining. And like I said, I'm not quite sure how we got to that last topic, but I had fun talking about it. I actually enjoy talking about non-wrestling more than wrestling most times. So there we go. Let me go ahead and hit the music. I'm going to go ahead and start talking plugs. Hopefully Smark will join me as I'm in the middle of them. If not, oh, you know what? We actually have one more thing to do. Let me see if Smark comes back, and we'll quickly do TLC predictions. You know what? I don't even care about TLC predictions. Let's just go ahead and wrap this motherfucker up. I forgot about them, but we don't need to do them. Maybe we'll jump on. We are going to be live Sunday, so go ahead and we'll go on early Sunday, and we will do predictions before the show. That won't be a problem at all. We're planning on being live anyway, so we'll go on Sunday, do predictions, and then we will get into the show. Definitely, you guys, I want you to listen to High Marks. That's Cheeseman, Mojo, and G-Wiz. You can find them every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. right there on the Metal Mitt Network. I did not stutter. There are 2 T's in Mitt. Once again, Mixer.com, so that's Metal Mitt Network. Check those guys out right there. And, of course, Bobby Anthem and Bobby Blades, the Inhuman Experience. If you want to experience the Inhumans, definitely join and subscribe to the Inhuman Experience podcast right there. Every podcast platform you can find, go for it. And the Unscripted Wrestling Podcast. Eric, Doug, Daniel, and that whole cast of characters over there, they can be found on all the usual podcast platforms and on Blog Talk Radio. They kind of just pop on whenever they want to. So definitely subscribe to them on all the usual podcast platforms and follow them on Blog Talk. And, of course, Stephen Milan, I appreciate you sharing the show, buddy. Letterboxd.com/Stephen Milan. Find him over there sharing and reviewing movies. Once again, over almost 8,000 films he's done. I don't even know how he's done it, but he's done it. And, of course, you can follow us on Spreaker. You can get us on Stitcher, iHeart, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, Player FM, and everywhere else. And I guess Smark is not going to be back. He might have just gave up and said, fuck it, I'm out of here. But once again, we will sign on a little early on Sunday. We are definitely going to be live on Sunday doing the pay-per-view. We'll sign on 30 minutes early. Maybe we'll go ahead and sign on for the pre-show and go ahead and do predictions. You know what? We will. We'll sign on for the pre-show. Go ahead and get that going, do predictions, and then we will get to everything going on from there. So we will see you guys Sunday. On that note, appreciate everybody showing up. I appreciate the chat room, the downloaders. Any way you listen and support this show, it is much appreciated. Smark, I will see you Sunday live. Chat room, hopefully you guys will be here Sunday too for TLC. See ya!
Do it yourself. Take your drunken ass home. Party's over, band last song. Can't stay here, you got to go home. Go